Chapter 841. Azure Dragon Mountain 1. Water and fire attribute spiritual energy, which were slightly wild, rushed over from all directions and fused into the bodies of the 4 mystic dragons. Immediately, the bodies of the 4 dragons became another size, and their power was even stronger. The 2 fire dragons and the water dragons collided, causing a loud bang. In an instant, flames soared into the sky and streams of light overflowed. However, the 4 dragons were on par. After entangling for a long time, no one could do anything to each other. The 4 dragons stopped fighting and glared at each other, releasing some pressure from time to time. Just as Long Xiaoyu and Sun Tao were each controlling their mystic energy dragons and were in a deadlock, Long Qinya ran to Long Ruoxu's side and looked at her resentfully. "Little Shuer, how can you abandon me?" "Boo-hoo," Long Qinya said pitifully. People who didn't know the situation would definitely think that Long Ruoxu abandoned her in a mess. "When did I abandon you? Don't spout nonsense." Long Ruoxu's forehead was covered in black lines as she said speechlessly. This fellow really dared to say anything. Fortunately, there were no outsiders here. Otherwise, she would be misunderstood to death. "You did. You left without saying goodbye." "Boo-hoo," Long Qinya complained, tears still in his starry eyes. "Grand Elder, we often leave without saying goodbye." "Alas, the atmosphere during our farewells is too sad," Long Ruoxu sighed. Please keep reading on MYB0XN0VL D0T C0M. "That's true. However, you can take me with you," Long Qinya said matter-of-factly. "Take you with me? You are the Grand Elder of the Long family. Won't the Long family hunt me down if I abduct you?" Long Ruoxu was very afraid of trouble, so she naturally wouldn't ask for trouble. "No, indispensable in the Long family. I don't care about anything," Long Qinya said resentfully. "I'm the dispensable one." Long Ruoxu rolled her eyes and helplessly said, "How can you be dispensable?" "You're very important," Long Qinya said hurriedly. "Let's not talk about this first. Tell me, why did you and that cheap old ancestor come here?" Long Ruoxu asked curiously. "To help you, of course," Long Qinya said with a smile, his handsome face full of pride. "Oh, thank you, then." Long Ruoxu nodded and said politely, "With the resourcefulness of the cheap old ancestor, it shouldn't be difficult to know that she was in the Sun family. However, she really didn't expect them to specially come over to help her. This couldn't help making her feel a trace of warmth in her heart. Little Shuer, there's no need to be so polite with us. However, we were still a step too late. Alas, we heard the explosion before we entered the city. We were afraid that something would happen to you. Fortunately, you were all fine," Long Qinya said with relief. "Hee, how can it be so easy to kill us?" Long Ruoxu said confidently. Yes, you're all unkillable cockroaches. Your vitality is tenacious." Long Qinya said cooperatively. We're not cockroaches," Long Ruoxu said with 2 drops of cold sweat on her forehead. Hee. Long Qinya laughed evilly. "By the way, is the cheap old ancestor and Sun Tao old enemies?" Long Ruoxu asked uncertainly. From Sun Tao's tone, he seemed to hate the cheap old ancestor. "My grandfather doesn't treat him as an opponent. That fellow is delusional. Just treat what he said as farting. Don't take it to heart," Long Qinya said nonchalantly. "Not only that, I think he likes to daydream." Long Ruoxu smiled. Yes. Little Shuer, that fellow is a big pervert. You have to stay away from him. You will be very depressed if you are targeted by him," Long Qinya reminded. "I think I've already been targeted by him," Long Ruoxu said with a bitter face, feeling extremely depressed. "It's okay. Grandpa will definitely beat him up this time until he doesn't dare to have any ideas about you. However, you have to be careful if you're alone. Sun Tao is very strong. In this world, no one can restrain him except Grandpa," Long Qinya reminded. And Long Ruoxu nodded. Even though she was not Sun Tao's match now, as long as it was in the boundless heaven continent, she was really not afraid of Sun Tao. No matter how strong Sun Tao's strength was, her own beast would have to tire him to death with their tag team battle. However, being remembered by others every day, after all, it was not a good thing. Therefore, if there was a chance, she still hoped to be able to eliminate Sun Tao. This fellow was a big worry in her heart. Can't you kill him? Lung Ruoxue asked after some thought. There's definitely no way to kill him in the boundless heaven continent. Sigh. Lung Qianye said somewhat helplessly. Oh. Lung Ruoxue was depressed. Little Shuer, don't worry. When you're strong enough, you can definitely kill him in the future, Lung Qianye hurriedly comforted. It's okay. I'm not in a hurry. At most, they'll beat him up every time he comes, Lung Ruoxue said calmly. Yes, he's asking for a beating, Lung Qianye agreed. Due to the restriction of the continent's level, there were many things that could not be completed in this world, but beating was still possible. The two of them chatted in private, and the battle between Lung Xiaoyu and Sun Tao also changed rapidly. The four dragons condensed from mystic energy gradually became more and more transparent after many collisions and killings. This was obviously a sign that their mystic energy was exhausted. On the battlefield, Lung Xiaoyu looked at his old opponent calmly and said, Sun Tao, we've fought so many times in the past that it's difficult to determine the winner. Do you still want to continue fighting now? Of course, Sun Tao said resolutely. The two of them had not had the chance to fight for many years after cultivating for so long. They thought that they could defeat Lung Xiaoyu after their strength increased, but who knew that neither of them could do anything to the other? Alas, it was really depressing. No, he had to win. But I don't think we need to waste time, Lung Xiaoyu said disapprovingly. Lung Xiaoyu, unless you admit defeat, Sun Tao provoked. Admit defeat? That's impossible. Lung Xiaoyu refused. What a joke. He didn't lose, so how could he admit defeat? Then continue fighting. We must decide the winner today, Sun Tao said with great determination. You're still as stubborn as ever, Lung Xiaoyu said helplessly. Since this old thing wanted to fight, he could only accompany him to the end. Chapter 842 Azure Dragon Mountain 2 Lung Xiaoyu, you're bound to lose today, Sun Tao said confidently. A long saber appeared in his hand. As soon as the saber appeared, everyone present felt a terrifying murderous aura. The saber was about 2 feet long and as thin as a cicada's wings, emitting a terrifying cold light. No wonder you're so confident. So you obtained an advanced divine artifact, Lung Xiaoyu said understandingly. You're definitely going to lose this time. Sun Tao was full of pride. He had never been willing to use this saber since he obtained it. Today, he would use Lung Xiaoyu to test the saber. I admit that your heavenly artifact's level is higher than mine, but it's hard to say if he'll lose. Lung Xiaoyu also took out a saber. However, this saber was only an intermediate divine artifact, and its level was lower than Sun Tao's saber. Is that so? Sun Tao sneered and waved the saber in his hand to slash at Lung Xiaoyu. Lung Xiaoyu also waved his saber. Tens of thousands of cold beams met in the air and collided, flashing with a dazzling light. The two saber lights collided, causing intense sparks. However, the outcome was not determined. How is this possible? Sun Tao was in disbelief. His saber was a high-level divine artifact. How did the battle end in a draw? Facts speak louder than words, Lung Xiaoyu said calmly. Advanced divine artifacts were powerful, but divine artifacts had to be tempered no matter how good they were. Sun Tao's saber obviously had not been tempered with him yet, and the saber he used was refined by him. Its affinity was definitely higher than others. Please keep reading on MYB0XN0VL, D0T, C0M. Do you still want to fight? Lung Xiaoyu asked again. Of course. We have to decide the winner today, Sun Tao said fiercely. Alas, you really won't cry until you see the coffin. Lung Xiaoyu shook his head helplessly. Cut the crap. Look at the saber. Sun Tao roared and slashed thrice. The saber beam carried cold air as it pounced at Lung Xiaoyu. This time, Lung Xiaoyu adopted a defensive strategy. When Sun Tao's blade light containing mystic energy approached him, he had already increased his defense in advance, so the sharp blade light happened to collide directly with his defensive barrier. Bang! The defensive barrier shattered, and the saber light completed its mission. Following that, Lung Xiaoyu also waved his saber several times. Tens of thousands of terrifying saber beams charged at Sun Tao with soaring flames. They were so fast that it dazzled everyone and caught them off guard. Sun Tao hurriedly put up a defense when he saw this, but he was still a step too late. He was hit by several saber flashes, and a mouthful of blood directly spurted out from his mouth. Lung Xiaoyu, you can't kill me. Ha ha. Sun Tao laughed hysterically and disappeared from everyone's sight. Everyone was a little surprised to see Sun Tao suddenly disappear. Where did Sun Tao go? Fengde asked curiously. Well, was the winner decided? He ran away. Lung Xiaoyu said understandingly. That fellow's escaping skills were top-notch. I'm afraid we will have a lot of trouble in the future if he runs away, Lung Qingtian said gloomily. Don't worry. He should be very injured. Otherwise, he wouldn't have run so quickly. Moreover, I believe that he won't have time to find trouble with you for a while, Lung Xiaoyu comforted. That's good. Lung Qingtian felt a little relieved hearing what the cheap old ancestor said. Grandpa, don't worry. There are so many of us and the beasts. If he dares to come, we'll fight him one by one. He'll be exhausted to death. Lung Ruoxue also comforted him. She didn't want her family to be on tenterhooks all day because of Sun Tao. Little Shuer, he has a high-level divine artifact in hand. You must not clash with him head-on. Try to hide if you can the next time you encounter him. Lung Xiaoyu reminded. Advanced divine artifact is very powerful? Fengde was puzzled. His young miss also had a divine artifact? I can't say that it's very powerful, but it's enough to deal with you if it's in Sun Tao's hands. Moreover, it not only makes you mystic supremacies, but your beasts are also level 9 transcendent divine beasts. It's difficult to withstand the might of advanced divine artifacts, especially in this world. Advanced divine artifacts are absolutely considered heaven-defying existences, Lung Xiaoyu explained. Oh, Lung Ruoxue understood. The main reason was that the level of this space was too low, so Sun Tao could abuse them, but they couldn't kill Sun Tao. Alas, this was really depressing. Little Shuer, if you want to kill Sun Tao, you can only level up quickly, Lung Qinya said with a smile. What level is the cheap old ancestor now? Lung Ruoxue was very curious. I'm now an intermediate advanced god, Lung Xiaoyu said with a smile. Little Shuer, actually, Sun Tao, Qinyi, and my two brothers are no longer from this world. By the way, there's empty beside you. He's not either, Lung Xiaoyu explained with a faint smile as she looked at the question marks on everyone's faces. Then why did you guys return to the boundless heaven continent? Lung Ruoxue was somewhat puzzled. This is our hometown. We can return as long as we pay enough crystals, Lung Xiaoyu said. However, after we return, we can only suppress our strength at the mystic supremacy level and can only use mystic power. Otherwise, the heaven-earth law won't allow us to exist, Lung Xiaoyu added. Even so, you don't have any opponents in the boundless heaven continent either, right? Lung Ruoxue guessed. Yes, the mystic power we can use is unimaginable for other mystic supremacies. If we have a divine artifact, we will be even more powerful and unstoppable. More importantly, no one in this world can kill us. Little Shuer, you will understand what I mean when you reach that world, Lung Xiaoyu said honestly. The strength of their bodies now was no longer in the realm of humans. Lass, we really can't kill that Sun Tao now. Feng Zhan, who had remained silent, all along echoed as well. Because of the restrictions of the spatial realm and the rules of the world in this world, they were unable to bring forth their full strength. Otherwise, if it was in the past, how could they have tolerated Sun Tao showing off in front of them? He would have been annihilated by them a long time ago. Yes, it's okay. There will always be a chance in the future. Moreover, didn't the cheap old ancestor say so? Sun Tao won't dare to come for a while. So we have to cultivate hard and strive to advance as soon as possible to kill Sun Tao in the higher realm, Lung Ruoxue said confidently. Chapter 843. Azure Dragon Mountain. 3. Yes, yes. Everyone nodded hurriedly. Little Shuer, the Sun family is gone now. Can you return to the Lung family with me? My two brothers still want to see you. Lung Xiaoyu discussed. I don't know them. I'm not interested in meeting them, Lung Ruoxue said without giving him any face. She didn't have time to socialize with the Lung family now. After several battles, she could already vaguely feel that the heaven-defying art had signs of advancing. In addition to the potential threat of Sun Tao, that big worry in her heart, she wanted to find a place to cultivate for a while. Of course, it was best if she could advance directly. Lung Xiaoyu was depressed. Boo-hoo. This girl didn't even give him face. Little Shuer, where do you plan to go? Bring me along. Lung Qinya said with anticipation, his dark eyes blinking non-stop. We plan to enter seclusion to cultivate. Are you going? Lung Ruoxue looked at Lung Qinya with a smile. Forget it then. However, I can provide you with a place if you cultivate, Lung Qinya said mysteriously. Forget it if it's the Lung family, Lung Ruoxue said nonchalantly. In fact, she was very clear about what Lung Qinya was planning, but she really didn't want to have too much to do with the Lung family. After all, she had killed many people in the Lung family, so she didn't want to embarrass herself. Lung Qinya was also depressed. How could this little girl guess so accurately? He wanted little Shuer to cultivate in the Lung family's forbidden area, but this little girl blocked them with a single sentence. Boo-hoo. She was really too much of a bully. Thinking of this, he couldn't help sneaking glances at Lung Ruoxue resentfully. Don't look at me with such a gaze. I'm a person who differentiates gratitude and grudges. I'm also good to whoever is good to me. If anyone hates me, I won't use my hot face to stick to other people's cold buttocks, so the Lung family isn't suitable for me, Lung Ruoxue said bluntly. She knew that not many people in the Lung family welcomed them except for this pair of grandfather and granddaughter, and she didn't want to have too much involvement with the Lung family. Please keep reading on MYB0XN0VL, D0T, C0M. Then where do you plan to go? Lung Xiaoyu asked helplessly. I don't know. Maybe you'll find a deserted mountain, Lung Ruoxue said casually. Oh, then go ahead. Call me if you need me. Lung Xiaoyu took out a jade tablet and handed it to Lung Ruoxue. Okay. Lung Ruoxue accepted the jade tablet, then bid farewell to the two of them and left Sunzhou City with everyone. Grandpa, we're letting little Shuer leave just like that? Lung Qinya said indignantly after Lung Ruoxue and the others left. Boo-hoo. Little Shuer actually abandoned him again. What else? Do you really plan to go into seclusion with them? Lung Xiaoyu asked. I don't want to, Lung Qinya said with a bitter face. In fact, what he didn't say was that he was afraid that little Shuer would fool him. Little Shuer was obviously despising him. Boo-hoo. He was so sad. Don't think too much. That girl really wants to enter seclusion to cultivate. How could Lung Xiaoyu not understand her grandson's thoughts? She comforted him. Yes, Grandpa. Where are we going? Lung Qinya couldn't help but ask. He didn't want to return to the Lung family now. To the Lung family, of course, Lung Xiaoyu said matter-of-factly. Oh. Lung Qinya was very unwilling. We'll go back. Help yourself, Lung Xiaoyu said again. Grandpa, why didn't you say so earlier? Lung Qinya complained. What did you say earlier? You're not a child anymore. Why are you following behind Grandpa all day? Lung Xiaoyu said disdainfully. With that, she directly teleported and disappeared. Boo-hoo. Grandpa despises him too. Lung Qinya couldn't help but mutter to himself. Then, he flashed and disappeared from the spot. After Lung Ruoxue and the others left Sunzhou City, she instructed the little peacock to find a secluded place to cultivate and advance. A day later, the little peacock found a tall and straight mountain peak 10,000 meters away from Sunzhou City. That mountain peak towered into the clouds and was majestic and imposing. However, it didn't look like a barren mountain at all. Little peacock, you brought us to the wrong place. Fengde looked at the tall mountain with lush leaves and asked in puzzlement. This is the best place nearby. There won't be many people who dare to come even though it's not a barren mountain, the little peacock explained. Why is that? Fengde and the others were puzzled. Because there are bandits in this mountain, the little old man said. Bandits? Hee. Bandits are good. I like them. Fengde smiled happily when he heard there were bandits. The bandits here aren't those from the dirty river. The bandits here are all organized. Those below Mystic Sovereign don't dare to come here, the little old man explained. Could this be the Azure Dragon Mountain? Chengwu asked carefully. He had heard of the famous Azure Dragon Mountain. It was a famous bandit's den. It was even more fierce and unreasonable than the original 5 major forces in Myriad Mountain City.
Yes.
The little old man nodded. How are the bandits here compared to Myriad Mountain City? Lung Ruoxue asked curiously. Although she had been in the Boundless Heaven continent for several years, she really didn't know much about some forces on the continent, especially those forces she didn't have the chance to come into contact with. Lass, there's no way to compare. The bandits here are organized and disciplined. They can be considered professional bandits. Chapter 844. Azure Dragon Mountain 4. There's no choice. If not for that, they would have been jointly eliminated by the various large factions long ago. And it's said that there's a reason for such a rule. The little old man kept everyone in suspense and said, "What reason?" Sure enough, Fengda and the others were all curious. Because of the resources of Azure Dragon Mountain. Lass, you should know that there are countless natural treasures in high mountains, forests, and other places, right? The little old man asked Lung Ruoxue. Yes, heavenly treasures like such places as long as the conditions for growth are suitable, Lung Ruoxue agreed. There are many natural treasures in the inner circle of this Azure Dragon Mountain, and it once made the various major forces envious. Legend has it that a long time ago, the Azure Dragon Mountain was occupied by a peerless expert, and those forces that coveted the resources of the Azure Dragon Mountain were fiercely taught a lesson by that peerless expert, and he asked them to swear that they would never invade the Azure Dragon Mountain. Of course, that expert also agreed to let them enter the Azure Dragon Mountain to search for treasures and explore. However, they have to follow the rules of the Azure Dragon Mountain. As for the bandits in the Azure Dragon Mountain now, they should be the subordinates and descendants of that expert at that time. For tens of thousands of years, they have been slowly developing and growing with the Azure Dragon Mountain as their back. However, they rarely leave the Azure Dragon Mountain. The little old man slowly explained the history of the Azure Dragon Mountain. This legend has been around for a few years. Even though it's impossible to verify its authenticity, from the various factions' attitude towards Azure Dragon Mountain, it should be true, the little old man added. Since that expert is so powerful, why did he agree to let them enter Azure Dragon Mountain after teaching the various major factions a lesson? Lu Tao could not help asking. Lu Tao is inexperienced, so she naturally doesn't understand the twists and turns between the forces. That powerhouse might be very powerful, but if he doesn't have a descendant who's as powerful as him, when he leaves this world, his descendant will similarly be unable to protect the resources of Azure Dragon Mountain. Instead, there will be a disaster. Therefore, after he taught the various major forces a lesson and made them swear an oath, he naturally has to give them some benefits. Otherwise, let those forces bear a grudge in their hearts. In the future, how can his descendants and subordinates walk on the Boundless Heaven continent? They can't always not leave Azure Dragon Mountain, right? If one day, Azure Dragon Mountain's resources are exhausted, want his descendants and subordinates starve to death, the little old man explained with a chuckle. Please keep reading on MYB0XN0VL, D0T, C0M. However, after so many years, the resources in the Azure Dragon Mountain have long been inferior to before, so the various major forces are not as interested in the Azure Dragon Mountain as before, the little old man said. Oh, Grandpa Do, how many entrances are there in this Azure Dragon Mountain? Lung Ruoxue asked. One can only enter from there, the little old man said with a smile. Then let's go in. Let's find a place with fewer people in the inner circle to focus on seclusion, Lung Ruoxue said after some thought. Lass, you have to be careful of the bandits on the Azure Dragon Mountain when you enter the inner circle. If you encounter bandits in the inner circle, they will rob you until you only have your underwear left, the little old man reminded. Oh, they still have some humanity. At least they didn't let others be naked, Lung Ruoxue praised. If she was a robber here, she would make the person robbed lose even their underwear. Hearing Lung Ruoxue's words, everyone couldn't help but break out in cold sweat. Little Peacock, land. Let's go in, Long Ruashua ordered, ignoring everyone's expressions. Yes, Mississippi. The little peacock obediently descended from the sky. It landed at the entrance of Azure Dragon Mountain. Long Ruashua and the others jumped down from the little peacock's back. The two guards sitting at the entrance of Azure Dragon Mountain raised their eyes and looked at them before continuing what they were doing. We are going into the mountain, Long Ruashua said bluntly after seeing the two guards' reactions. 10 amethyst coins per person, including beasts. A guard said lightly. What? Beasts also need money? Fonda said in disbelief. These people were indeed bandits. They actually earned the money of beasts. He felt that he had been to many cities, but he had never seen a city that accepted beast fees. We can choose not to hand over the beast, but we can't use it in the mountain either, a guard explained. Oh, this is 2,000 amethyst coins to buy 200 spots. Long Ruashua generously took out 2,000 amethyst coins and handed it to the guard at the door. This is the first time I've seen you so generous as to enter the mountain. Seeing that you're so straightforward, I'll make the decision to give you an additional 20 spots, the guard said very generously and handed Long Ruashua a card. At the same time, that was the proof of their fee. Thank you. Long Ruashua smiled. The entrance fee here was nothing compared to Shadow City. After speaking, Long Ruashua led everyone into Azure Dragon Mountain. Chapter 845. Different Treatment by a Bandit. 1. In the Azure Dragon Mountain, the mountain was tall and steep, and the hill was covered in green trees. Even though there were dense giant trees planted everywhere, the temperature in the mountain was still lower than outside. After Long Ruashua walked into the Azure Dragon Mountain, the first thing she entered was the periphery. On the periphery, their group also met a few teams. Some were friendly, and some treated them as opponents. After all, the resources on the periphery were limited. Miss, why did we come to such a place that requires money if we were going into seclusion? Lu Tao asked in puzzlement. Her heart ached when she thought of the 2,000 amethyst coins. You have to spend money to make money. Even though we spent 2,000 amethyst coins, it's not impossible to earn it back here. So, closed-door cultivation is one thing, but also, we can train in this mountain. Why not? Long Ruashua said with a light smile. Haha, lass, you're right. As long as we're lucky, we can definitely earn back 2,000 amethyst coins. However, it's impossible for us to do it outside. The little old man smiled in agreement. On their way here, they had encountered some herbs. Even though they were only ordinary herbs, they couldn't be let go. After all, those herbs were still useful and could be used as supplementary ingredients for other pills. If he wanted to encounter treasures of the heaven and earth level, he had to enter the inner circle besides luck. Miss, are we still going in today? Fonda looked at the sky and asked. Let's not go in. Let's camp outside today. Long Ruashua said after looking around. Okay, Fonda answered. Then, everyone divided the work very tacitly, setting up tents, starting a fire, and cooking. Please keep reading on MYB0XN0VL, D0T, C0M. Long Ruashua and the others had just eaten when another group of people arrived. After the group arrived, they patrolled the surroundings. Then, a young man walked in front of Long Ruashua and the others. Hello, everyone. This place is very big. We want to camp here. May I know if that's possible? The young man was very polite and looked like the leader of this group. The place Long Ruashua and the others were at now was very spacious and was definitely the best venue for camping, so it was normal to attract others. Sure. Long Ruashua nodded. This wasn't their home. However, since they were willing to ask, it meant that these people were still very particular. She naturally wouldn't hold on to this place and not let go. Thank you, the young man said gratefully. His handsome face was still full of amazement. However, after thanking him, he turned around and returned to his team. Then, he arranged for someone to set up a tent, start a fire, and cook. Soon, another team walked over from a small road. They obviously liked the terrain here. The leader casually looked at the two teams present and directly ordered his subordinates to set up the tents. Uncle Chi, why is there someone else here? A sharp female voice questioned with dissatisfaction. Miss, the terrain here is the best. Let's make do with it. The middle-aged man called Uncle Chi said helplessly. This eldest miss was so willful that he was about to go crazy. This was not the family, so he could let her do whatever she wanted. Hopefully, she would be sensible and not cause any trouble. Uncle Chi, I'm the eldest daughter of the Chi family. How can you let me make do? Chi Honger was instantly angry when she heard this. She had always been able to call the wind and summon the rain in the family. She could have whatever she wanted. Who dared to let her make do? Miss, this isn't the Chi family, Uncle Chi reminded her. I don't care. Drive them away. There can't be anyone else where I live, Chi Honger said barbarically. Miss, this isn't a place for you to throw a tantrum, Uncle Chi said impatiently. He ignored this unruly eldest daughter and turned to busy himself. Go chase them away. Chi Honger pointed at a subordinate. The subordinate looked at Chi Honger and then looked at the middle-aged man called Uncle Chi. He said with some difficulty, Miss, I came first. There are rules to walk on the continent. We can't do this. How dare you disobey my orders? I don't care. Hurry up and chase them away. Chi Honger roared at the top of her lungs, her beautiful face a little deformed. Chi Tong, come here, Uncle Chi shouted. Miss, Uncle Chi is calling for me. The subordinate named Chi Tong said hurriedly and walked towards Uncle Chi. Damn it. How dare you disobey my orders? Humph. I must tell father to punish you. Chi Honger threatened angrily. With that, she angrily came in front of the young man and said arrogantly, I like this place. Please leave. On what basis? Before the young man could say anything, a middle-aged man and his team spoke first with dissatisfaction. Because I'm the eldest daughter of the Chi family and the future mistress of the Long family, Chi Honger said proudly, her beautiful face full of arrogance. You are the eldest daughter of the Chi family? The young man looked up and asked lightly. Yes, my name is Chi Honger. I'm the most favored daughter of the Chi family's patriarch and the future young madam of the Long family. Chi Honger's proud tail was about to curl up. Since you are the eldest daughter of the Chi family, didn't the patriarch of the Chi family teach you the rules? The young man asked with a light smile, the disdain in his eyes flashing for a moment. Damn it. Do you know who you are talking to? Chi Honger was not stupid. Of course, she could hear the sarcasm in the young man's words. Therefore, she was instantly like a cat whose tail had been stepped on. She was angry. Of course I know. However, I know even more that the strong are respected in this world. Therefore, even if you are the Chi family's patriarch's most favored daughter, the Long family's young patriarch's future wife, you have to follow the rules of the boundless heaven continent, the young man said calmly. The young man knew very well that the Chi family and the Long family were in-laws. However, if they thought that he should bow down to them and be humble because of the Long family, that would be a huge mistake. After all, the master behind him was not to be trifled with, and he naturally could not lose his master's face. This was what the elders of the family had warned repeatedly before he left home. Chapter 846. Different treatment by a bandit too. You will regret it. State your name if you have the guts. Chi Honger roared with a red face and neck. Luo Lin, the young man said softly. You are from the Luo clan? Very good. I won't let your Luo clan off, Chi Honger said fiercely. Are you sure? Don't do anything you regret, Luo Lin reminded coldly. Just you wait, Luo clan. Chi Honger turned around and left angrily after leaving those vicious words. After losing all her face at Luo Lin's place, Chi Honger was unwilling to give up and came directly to Long Ruoxue and the others, wanting to recover some face. Leave this place immediately, Chi Honger ordered loudly. Idiot! Lu Tao spat and said disdainfully. The others didn't even look up. You guys. I'm the eldest miss of the Chi family, the future mistress of the Long family. Chi Honger roared angrily. So what? Even if you are the eldest daughter of the Long family, you have to scram, Lu Tao said impatiently. You. Damn it. Report your name if you have the guts. Chi Honger was so angry that she stuttered. You don't deserve to know. Lu Tao ignored her. You. Chi Honger pointed at Lu Tao, trembling with anger. You what you? Get lost. Feng Dahai roared. Damn woman. How dare she point at his woman? She was really tired of living. Just you wait. Chi Honger was so angry that her face turned green. After similarly throwing out fierce words, she reluctantly returned to her team. The world is really big. There are all sorts of women. These young ladies from aristocratic families are really too annoying, Fengda said with a face full of disdain. Haha, there are too many daughters of such families, so we have to be calm. It will lower our status to argue with them, Long Ruoxue said with a light smile. In her opinion, this was just a clown who didn't know the immensity of heaven and earth, purely for them to relieve their boredom. Yes, yes. Don't be calculative with her. If you don't like it, just crack it directly, Fengda said with a smile. Hearing Feng Da's words, 2 drops of cold sweat dripped down Long Ruoxue's forehead. She thought in her heart, her subordinates were really becoming more and more violent. After dinner, Cheng Wu and Song Di stayed behind to guard the night, while the others entered the tent early to rest. The next morning, after Long Ruoxue and the others left the tent, they made breakfast and continued on their way after eating. Miss, those 2 teams are behind us, Cheng Wu reminded softly. Yes, they should also be going to the inner circle, Long Ruoxue said understandingly. There were not many roads to the inner circle, but the road they were taking was the most spacious and easiest, so it was normal for the 2 teams to walk. Uncle Chi, how far are we? Miss, we'll be there soon. Let's rest after entering the inner circle. Soon, the Chi family's eldest Miss and Uncle Chi's voices entered Long Ruoxue and the others' ears. Obviously, the 2 teams were very close. After walking for nearly half a day, all 3 teams entered the inner circle. Be it beasts or herbs in the inner circle, their levels were higher than those in the outer circle. However, the dense trees made their journey difficult. Fengda waved the saber in his hand and kept slashing at the branches and vines that blocked their path. He led the way while Long Ruoxue and the others followed closely behind him. Not only that, the other 2 teams actually followed them. Miss, let's camp here, Fengda said after walking to a relatively spacious place. And Long Ruoxue nodded, then Fengda and the others began to set up the tent. Wait, we like this place. Go somewhere else. Chi Honger's domineering voice sounded in Long Ruoxue and the others' ears again. Long Ruoxue and the others looked up at Chi Honger with spurious smiles. Did you hear me? Leave this place quickly. We like this place. Chi Honger felt her hair stand on end from Long Ruoxue and the others' gazes and couldn't help but roar. Miss Chi, is it? Do you think this Azure Dragon Mountain belongs to the Chi family too? Didn't your father tell you not to cause trouble outside and to listen to your Uncle Chi? Long Ruoxue raised her eyebrows slightly, her tone very cold. How dare you talk to me like that? The Long family and the Chi family won't let you go. Chi Honger felt that her authority had been provoked, so she took advantage of the situation and roared, her eyes flashing with jealousy. The Long family and the Chi family? If I tell you that the Chi family is like an ant in my eyes, I won't be afraid of the Long family either. Would you believe me? Long Ruoxue said with a light smile. The Chi family is one of the 3 major families. Who would believe that you're not afraid? Chi Honger didn't take Long Ruoxue's words seriously. Haha, the Long family is nothing. We killed all the elders of the Long family, Cheng Wu said with a maniacal laugh. Keep bragging. If these words reach the Long family, you're dead meat, Chi Honger suddenly said excitedly. Haha, she really hoped that the Long family would know. That way, this thorn would be dead meat. At this moment, Long Ruoxue had already been treated as a thorn in Chi Honger's side because Long Ruoxue's beauty that could topple kingdoms was really too dazzling, making her very displeased. I'm afraid I'll have to disappoint Miss Chi. I've killed many people from the Long family and am still alive and well. As for you, it's probably impossible to marry into the Long family in this lifetime, Long Ruoxue said indifferently. What did you say? I'm the Long family's designated daughter-in-law. Chi Honger jumped 3 times in anger when she heard Long Ruoxue say that it was impossible for her to marry into the Long family. Who decided? Are you worthy? Long Ruoxue mocked. If what Chi Honger said was true, then she could only say that the Long family standards were too poor. That's right. In the boundless heaven continent, there are too many women who call themselves the Long family's future young madam. But I've never seen the Long family acknowledge anyone either. Feng De echoed, his face still full of disdain. Just you wait. I won't let you go, Qi Hunger threatened. She was really angry. These people actually dared to humiliate her like this. Chapter 847. Different Treatment by a Bandit. 3. Miss, don't be willful. Apologize to this miss quickly, Uncle Qi suddenly said. At the same time, his shrewd eyes sized up Long Ruoxue and the others, thinking about the truth of what they had said. If what these people said was true, then they had to be careful. However, what if what they said was false? Uncle Qi was deep in thought. However, he decided to get along with Long Ruoxue and the others first. Unfortunately, he had underestimated Qi Hunger's jealousy of Long Ruoxue. On what basis? As expected, Qi Hunger became even angrier when she heard Uncle Qi's words. Why not? Apologize quickly, Uncle Qi said without negotiation. Who do you think you are? You're just a dog of our Qi family. How dare you order me around? Qi Hunger roared furiously. Miss, don't forget what the patriarch said, Uncle Qi reminded her while suppressing his anger. He was becoming more and more impatient with Qi Hunger. He knew that this eldest miss, who was loved and doted on, didn't care about anyone except her father and the young master of the Long family. However, he didn't expect Qi Hunger to actually say that he was the dog of the Qi family in front of so many people. This couldn't help making his face turn red and white. At this moment, Long Ruoxue and the others couldn't be bothered to watch the master and servant's antithesis. They directly set up the tent. Miss, should we? Chung Wu came to Long Ruoxue's side and made a throat-slitting gesture. There's no need. Long Ruoxue smiled evilly. These Qi family members should be left to be taught a lesson. After speaking, Long Ruoxue pulled the freak to a clean place and sat down. Shuer, why did you become so kind today? The freak smiled and Long Shuer pulled her into her arms. When have I not been kind? Long Ruoxue pouted and pretended to be unhappy. Yes, Shuer is always kind, the freak coaxed, the smile on his lips deepening. Shuer is planning to use someone else to kill him. How is she kind? Empty said understandingly and sat down beside the two of them as a light bulb. Empty, we should tacitly understand this kind of thing. There's no need to say it, Long Ruoxue said with a light smile. Yes, I was wrong. Empty cooperated. Fengda and the others set up the tent and started making lunch. After Luo Lin exchanged greetings with Long Ruoxue and the others, he arranged for someone to set up a tent. After Uncle Qi mentioned the patriarch, Qi Hunger became more well-behaved and stopped fighting with Uncle Qi. Their subordinates also began to busy themselves. Soon, Fengda and the others were done with their meal. However, before they could start eating, they heard a lion roar in their ears. Don't move. Robbery. After hearing this, the three teams stopped what they were doing at the same time and looked up at the source of the voice. They saw a group of black-clothed people standing not far away from them, staring at them covetously. There were a few hundred black-clothed people not far away, and most of them were mystic sovereigns. Luo Lin and Uncle Qi's teams couldn't help but laugh bitterly when they saw the lineup of bandits. What they were afraid of really came true. They didn't expect to encounter bandits so quickly. Alas, their luck was really too bad. However, Long Ruoxue and the others' eyes lit up when they saw these bandits, and their hearts were filled with anticipation. Oh, these bandits were quite strong, but they didn't know if they could withstand a beating. How dare you? Do you know who I am? How dare you rob us? After Qi Hunger saw those bandits, she vented all the depression in her heart on the bandits who appeared out of nowhere. Miss, shut up. Uncle Qi couldn't help but scold before the bandits could say anything, and he was even more depressed. What an idiot. Were these bandits easy to deal with? They weren't even more honest in their territory. Who you are is not important to us. Unless you can defeat us, you can only cooperate. Now hand over your valuables. I won't kill you as long as you are obedient, the bandit leader said very kindly. On what basis? Qi Hunger was furious. These bandits were too arrogant. They even dared to rob her. Miss Chi, on the basis that we are bandits. Since you've come to the Azure Dragon Mountain, of course you have to follow our rules. Didn't your father hand you over? The bandit boss explained with a good temper. How dare you rob me when you know I'm the eldest miss of the Chi family? Chi Honger said in disbelief. Who does the eldest daughter of the Chi family think she is? We will beat her up even if the patriarch of the Long family comes, the bandit leader said nonchalantly. How dare you? Chi Honger roared. Unfortunately, her roar was ignored by the bandit leader. Uncle Chi, right? What do you think? The bandit leader turned his gaze to Uncle Chi and asked with a smile. Everyone, please accept it. Uncle Chi took the ring on his hand and handed it over. Yes, very good. You're still the sensible one. After complimenting Uncle Chi, he turned his gaze to the others in the Chi family. The Chi family had no choice but to take off their rings and hand them over. That's right. You're all very obedient. The bandit leader moved all the valuables in the ring into his own ring, then returned the rings of Uncle Chi and the others and said, I'll return the rings to you. Even though I robbed you, you can still continue to explore and search for treasures here. Oh, by the way, I'll remind you that we don't only have one team to rob, so you have to be careful. Our purpose is to not resist and cooperate obediently so that we won't lose our lives, the bandit leader added. After Uncle Chi and the others heard the bandit leader's words, the corners of their mouths couldn't help twitching. Damn. There was actually more than one robbery team. Moreover, from the bandits' words, they might even encounter a robbery. Thinking of this, Uncle Chi and the others were all depressed. Miss Chi, it's your turn now. The bandit leader didn't forget that Miss Chi didn't cooperate well. I don't have anything valuable, Chi Honger roared. Oh, then leave your life behind. The bandit leader said without any pity for the fairer sex. How dare you? Chi Honger was a little afraid, but she didn't believe that these bandits would really dare to kill her. Chapter 848, Different Treatment by a Bandit, 4. What's there to be afraid of? The bandit boss smiled mockingly and shrugged nonchalantly. Miss, give it to them, Uncle Chi said. He knew that these bandits would really kill people. Chi Honger was just about to object when she saw Uncle Chi's gaze that was as cold as a poisonous snake. She couldn't help taking off the ring in her hand and handing it over with a pained expression. Those who know the truth are the elites. Miss Chi, your life is finally safe, the bandit leader said indifferently. Now you can rob them. Chi Honger pointed at Luo Lin and Long Ruox's teams and said, It would be best if these bandits could kill them, she thought evilly. Who do I want to rob, and when do I need you to tell me what to do? The bandit leader said very dissatisfied. I'm just reminding you, Chi Honger quibbled while suppressing her anger. No need. The bandit leader didn't appreciate it. You, Chi Honger glared at the bandit leader, the anger in her heart surging to the top of her head. Hee. Miss, this bandit boss is quite interesting. After watching the commotion for a long time, Feng De said with some amusement. His words were heard by everyone present. The head of the bandits looked in the direction of Long Ruoxue and the others, then came straight to Luo Lin and the others. Before he could speak, Luo Lin hurriedly gave him several storage rings. Brat, you're not bad. You have a future. The bandit boss was very happy with Luo Lin's initiative. He liked people who cooperated with him so much. Hearing the bandit leader's words, Luo Lin couldn't help but smile bitterly. Boo-hoo. How could he not cooperate? Brat, don't worry. Since you're so sensible, I'll inform the other brothers not to rob you anymore. You can train here with ease. The bandit leader said straightforwardly. Thank you. Luo Lin was very happy. Boo-hoo. It seemed like there were benefits to knowing the truth. However, Uncle Chi and the others couldn't be happy after hearing the robber's words. Boo-hoo. Wasn't this the high vision of the red fruit? Why was it that they might still encounter bandits, but they wouldn't encounter robbing here? This was really too unfair. However, none of them dared to ask this question. After all, a strong dragon could not suppress a local snake, and they were in his territory. However, someone asked. After Chi Honger heard the bandit leader's words, She was so angry that she was about to vomit blood. She directly questioned angrily, "Why won't they encounter robbery again? I want you to promise that we won't encounter it again. Are you ordering me?" The bandit leader narrowed his eyes and said with slight displeasure, "I just want your guarantee," Hunger said. "Okay, I promise. I promise you will definitely meet bandits again." The bandit boss smiled evilly. He hated being threatened the most, especially by such big-breasted and brainless people. "You!" Hunger was so angry that she couldn't say anything. Haha. Fengda and the others couldn't help but laugh hysterically. Not only that, even Luo Lin and the others who had just been robbed couldn't help but secretly laugh. "Is it very funny?" The bandit boss walked in front of Long Ruoxue and the others and said helplessly, "Boo-hoo. What did he say that made these people so happy?" Yes, yes, of course it's funny." Fengda nodded with a smile. "Now I'm going to rob you." A light flashed in the bandit leader's eyes as he chuckled. "We don't have money," Long Ruoxue said lightly. "It's okay. We can use other things to cover it," the bandit leader said with a smile, looking very amiable. "Use what?" Long Ruoxue asked curiously. Well, she realized that these bandits seemed to be different from what she knew. "Use these as collateral." The bandit leader pointed at the food in front of Long Ruoxue and the others. The taste of these food was really too fragrant, making him drool. Okay. Long Ruoxue was very generous. It was just some food. She could afford it. "Miss, what should we do if we give them the food?" Fengda pretended to be dissatisfied. He still wanted to fight these people. It seemed that they couldn't fight now. "Let's eat something else," Long Ruoxue said. She understood what Fengda meant, but now was not the time to fight. She did not want to expose their strength in front of so many people. "Oh, I think you guys are quite pleasing to the eye. Are you interested in taking a look at our bandit's nest?" At this moment, the bandit leader asked again. At the same time, he wanted to see if these people had the guts. "Okay." Long Ruoxue looked at the freak and the others before replying. "Then follow me." The bandit leader waved his hand, and his subordinates came to collect the food. Then he stood up and signaled Long Ruoxue and the others to follow with his eyes. "Wait," Hunger suddenly said. "What can I do for you, Miss Chi?" The bandit leader didn't like being shouted at and asked in an unfriendly tone, "Why should we hand over valuable things if they can use food as payment?" Hunger questioned fearlessly. "Miss Chi, what right do you have to say so much? However, I can only tell you that I can decide what I want here. Do whatever I want. If you want to walk out of the Azure Dragon Mountain alive, be obedient. Otherwise, the people around you won't be able to protect you," the bandit boss warned. After speaking, he strode out of this place, and Long Ruoxue and the others followed closely behind. However, before leaving, they all looked at Hunger with slight sympathy. The bandits brought Long Ruoxue and the others through the mountains and rivers with familiarity. After walking for nearly an hour, they finally arrived at the bandits' den. Long Ruoxue and the others couldn't help showing surprise as they looked at the bandits' nest in front of them. Chapter 849. Cheap Big Brother, Advance 1. The bandits' nest was located in the valley, surrounded by mountains and rivers. The environment in the valley was as beautiful and enchanting as a paradise. In the valley, flowers filled the mountain. Little animals ran here and there in groups. When they saw Long Ruoxue and the others, they surrounded them curiously. "Hee. These little fellows are the descendants of our contract beasts," the bandit leader explained. "Your bandit's nest is very beautiful," Long Ruoxue praised sincerely. "Of course. This is a place carefully chosen by our ancestors," the bandit leader said proudly. "Second head of the family, you're back." At this moment, a bandit and the head of a bandit group greeted each other. After that, he looked at Long Ruoxue and the others curiously and went to do his own things. "You are the second head of the family here?" Long Ruoxue was a little surprised. This inconspicuous bandit leader was even the second boss of the Azure Dragon Mountain Bandits' Den. It was really unexpected. "Yes. It doesn't look like it," the bandit leader said happily. "Indeed, it doesn't," Long Ruoxue said honestly. "Hee. That's better." The bandit leader was very proud. I still have a few brothers. I'll bring you to see them, the bandit leader said again. Okay. Long Ruoxue nodded, then followed the head of the bandits to their main hall. The meeting hall of the bandits' nest was located at the highest point of the valley. From above, they could see everything in the valley. The few bandits sitting in the meeting hall obviously knew about their arrival because they were not surprised when they saw them, and even seemed to be used to it. Not only that, Long Ruoxue had actually met the person sitting at the head of the table once. Big brother, they're my new friends. The second head of the family smiled. Second brother, you're bringing people home again. A young man sitting on the right side of the main seat said helplessly. Hee, I think they're more pleasing to the eye. Their food is very fragrant. That's why I brought them back for you to see. The second head of the family scratched his head and said somewhat embarrassedly. Long Ruoxue and the others couldn't help being a little speechless when they heard the bandit leader's words. So they were looked at favorably because of their good food. So they were invited here. These bandits' thoughts really couldn't be explained normally. Really? The eyes of the bandits sitting there lit up after hearing second head of the family words, and their eyes immediately shot out a brilliant light. Of course it's true. Guards, bring those food up for the head of the family to try. Second head of the family immediately ordered. Boo-hoo. He had never eaten those food before. The subordinate immediately placed the food he robbed on the table after hearing second head of the family. The fragrance of the food immediately drifted into the noses of everyone present. How fragrant! Smells good. The few bandits sighed. Smelling this fragrance, their saliva was about to drip down. Hee, I was right? I couldn't bear to eat these food. After smelling the fragrance, I directly brought these things back. Not only that, I also brought back the person who made these food. Second head of the family had an expression of, I'm smart, right? His proud tail was about to curl up. Second brother, impressive. You finally did something beneficial to our Azure Dragon Mountain. Another young man praised. What? When did I do anything harmful to the Azure Dragon Mountain? Second manager glared and said with slight dissatisfaction. Hee. No. The young man hurriedly corrected himself. It was fine to joke, but he definitely couldn't go too far. Otherwise, second brother would really turn hostile. That's more like it, hee. I'm sorry, I've embarrassed myself in front of you. They are all my brothers. Second head of the family turned around and said to Long Ruoxue and the others with some embarrassment. You brothers have a good relationship, Long Ruoxue said understandingly. In, that's a must. Second head of the family said proudly. Even though brothers often fought and kicked up a fuss, they absolutely wouldn't allow it to affect their relationship. This was a rule passed down by their ancestors. Second brother, who are they? The young man asked curiously. Well, they still didn't know the names of these people. The second head of the family's face was full of confusion. He didn't know either. Long Ruoxue. Long Ruoxue introduced herself. Yi-chun, Schwer's fiancé, said the freak. I'm Long Qingtian, Schwer's grandfather. I'm Schwer's elder brother, Long Ruhan. Everyone introduced one by one. Hee. We are from the Li clan, and our names are Zhong, Xiao, Ran, Yi, Ji, Xian. The second boss said with some embarrassment. He actually only knew their names after walking with them for a while. Boo-hoo. I'm big brother, Li Zhong. Since you were brought back by our second brother, you are naturally our friends. Everyone, don't stand on ceremony. The head of the Azure Dragon Mountain, Li Zhong, said very warmly. Okay. Long Ruoxue nodded. Li Zhong was about 30 years old. He was not very handsome, but he had a sincere and honest face. He was just like his name. Have I seen you somewhere before? Li Zhong looked at Zheng Yin and the little old man and frowned as he pondered carefully. If I remember correctly, your underwear was stolen by Sunway in Blue Cloud City, Zheng Yin said awkwardly. I remember now. That's what happened. Damn it. I only have one pair of underwear. How dare he steal it? Li Zhong still couldn't get over it when he thought of this. He was so angry that he gritted his teeth. By the way, do you have the whereabouts of the thief? Li Zhong couldn't help asking. After returning to Azure Dragon Mountain, He felt that he had only beaten that guy up. It was really too easy for him. However, he couldn't find the bad guy who stole his underwear later. He's already dead, Zheng'an said with a black face. Haha, good riddance. Li Zhong laughed happily. Chapter 850. Cheap Big Brother. Advance 2. You've helped me find my underwear. You're my great benefactor. Well, if you're willing, you can stay in Azure Dragon Mountain. We'll be a family in the future, Li Zhong said generously. Thank you, head of family. However, I'm afraid we can't stay in one place for long. I think the environment of the Azure Dragon Mountain is not bad, so I want to find a place to use for seclusion. I wonder if it's possible? Lung Ruoxue asked very politely. No problem. Hehe. You can stay as long as you want. Even if you don't stay often, you can come back anytime if you want to in the future, Li Zhong said with a smile. We'll thank the head of family first, Lung Ruoxue said. There's no need to be so polite. If Miss Lung doesn't mind, you can call me Li Zhong or Big Brother Li directly. Hehe. Li Zhong suggested. Okay, then I'll call you Big Brother Li. Lung Ruoxue nodded with a light smile. Haha. All right, Li Zhong, will have a sister in the future. Humph. Whoever dares to bully my sister will be at odds with our Azure Dragon Mountain, Li Zhong said happily. Big Brother, do we also have a little sister in the future? Third boss Li Ren asked expectantly, but his eyes couldn't help floating to Lung Ruoxue. Li Zhong also looked at Lung Ruoxue. Haha. Big Brother Li's younger brother is naturally my older brother. Lung Ruoxue helplessly said. She had a good impression of these people, just treated as having a few more brothers, because the man's expectant gaze really made her unable to refuse. Haha, we have a sister too. The few people present jumped up and down happily when they heard that. Second, go arrange a residence for our sister and the others. Li Zhong instructed after the joy. Okay, we'll go right away. Second head of the family Li Xiao also answered happily. Hehe. He didn't expect to have a younger sister after coming back from the robbery. However, this sister was not bad. He found her very pleasing to the eye. The second head of the family returned in no time. He had already arranged a residence for Lung Ruoxue and the others and brought a lot of food. Big Brother, let's have lunch. Little sister and the others haven't eaten yet. Li Xiao reminded. Wait a moment. Number 7 isn't back yet. Li Zhong said. Then he looked at Lung Ruoxue and said, Sister Shuer, eat first if you're hungry. We brothers eat together. It's okay. We're not hungry yet, Lung Ruoxue said hurriedly. Li Zhong and the others were even more satisfied with this new sister hearing Lung Ruoxue's words. Hehe. Big Brother, I have good taste, right? I robbed 3 teams today. One team was very annoying, and the other was very sensible, so I didn't make things difficult for them. If Sister Shuer has anything in the future, feel free to look for me. 7th brother will protect you. Li Xin took on the responsibility. Little 7, you want to protect Sister Shuer with your little strength? Li Ren obviously didn't believe Li Xian. 3rd brother, how can you hurt my feelings? Li Xian said aggrievedly with tears in his eyes. All right, stinky brat, stop playing tricks. It's time to eat. We're about to starve to death waiting for you. Li Zhong patted Li Xian on the head and said helplessly, Yes, let's eat. Li Xin's eyes couldn't help emitting a wolf-like glow when he heard that. After everyone finished eating, Li Xian lay on the chair with his limbs spread wide open with a satisfied expression. He sighed in his heart about how beautiful life was. Lung Ruoxue and the others followed Li Xiao to the residence that had been arranged for them. Chapter 851. Cheap Big Brother. Advance 3. Big Brother. Why do I feel that the food today is better than the previous ones? Li Xian asked in puzzlement. Of course. Little sister and the others prepared the dishes today. Li Zhong rolled his eyes at Li Xian. Oh, no wonder, hehe. Won't we have a feast in the future? Li Xian said happily. In your dreams. Little sister and the others won't stay here often, Li Zhong said irritably. He also wanted to eat such delicious food every day. However, he couldn't force his sister and the others to stay here. Alas. Boo-hoo. What should I do if I can't eat it in the future? Liexan said with a bitter face. Boo-hoo. Why did he have to eat such a delicious food? Unfortunately, none of the people sitting there paid attention to him. After Long Ruoxue and the others arrived at the bandits' den, Long Ruoxue decided to enter seclusion the next day. Fengde and the others also wanted to break through to mystic supremacy quickly, so they entered the space with Long Ruoxue to cultivate. Nearly half of them chose to enter seclusion. However, Chengwu and the others did not enter seclusion with Long Ruoxue and the others. After all, they were already mystic supremacies now, so purely entering seclusion could not satisfy them. While Long Ruoxue and the others were in seclusion, their relationship with the 7 brothers of the Li family advanced by leaps and bounds. When they had nothing to do, they would even go to the Azure Dragon Mountain with those brothers to rob. Moreover, they also knew that Li Zhong and the other brothers didn't want to rob because they lacked money. They mainly wanted to rob because they were too bored. Therefore, they also looked at people when they robbed. If they were pleasing to the eye, they would mean it. If they were not pleasing to the eye, they would rob fiercely. And the eldest miss of the Qi family and the others were definitely the kind of people that the 7 brothers didn't like. The Qi family's team stayed in the Azure Dragon Mountain for nearly a month, but they lived in deep water and fire every day because they were robbed by bandits every day. No matter what gains they obtained on that day, they would become the bandits' bags the next day. Later on, the Qi family simply didn't do anything except hunt. They didn't believe that those bandits could persist. However, it didn't matter if they didn't do it. The bandits could rob their food and clothes. They had no choice but to work tirelessly for the bandits every day. Finally, after persisting for a month, they couldn't take it anymore and left the Azure Dragon Mountain in a hurry. In the meeting hall of the bandits' den, the Li brothers, Chengwu, and the others were gathered. The people from the Qi family are really too useless. Why did they run away so quickly? Won't we have nothing to play with in the future if they leave? Li Xiao said with a face full of regret. Hee. In this month, although they hadn't killed a single person from the Qi family, the people from the Qi family were quite frightened. They were on tenterhooks every day, and this was more satisfying than directly killing them. Yes, looks like we have to find a new toy. Liexan was also full of regret. Number 7. Shouldn't you also go into seclusion to cultivate? Look at how hard Sister Schwerer is working. You have to learn well. Li Zhong glanced at Liexan and said lightly, Big brother, don't compare me to those perverts. Liexan said speechlessly. Ever since the brothers found out that little Sister Schwerer was in seclusion trying to break through to the mystic supremacy realm, they had become the targets of Big Brother's urging. They would nag about it almost every day before they were willing to stop. Especially him. His ears were about to grow calluses when he heard it. Boo-hoo. You have some ambition, okay? You're older than Schwerer, but your strength is not as high as hers. Don't you find it embarrassing? Li Zhong said resentfully. Big brother, I'm already very hardworking. In the boundless heaven continent, I can also be considered a genius. Liexan muttered softly. Boo-hoo. He really didn't know why little Sister Schwerer and the others were so freakish. Let's enter seclusion tomorrow too, Li Zhong said after some thought. Well, he might be a mystic supremacy now, but he had to set an example for his younger brothers. No way. Liexan and the others looked at Li Zhong helplessly with bitter expressions. It's decided. We'll go into seclusion tomorrow. Li Zhong waved his hand and decided on this matter. Alas, the ancestors had provided them with such good conditions. They would really be sorry if they didn't make good use of them. Brother Cheng, please take care of the Azure Dragon Mountain. Our brother is in seclusion, Li Zhong said irresponsibly to Chengwu and the others. Okay. Chengwu nodded. Bandits were also swift and decisive. After making up his mind, Li Zhong led his younger brothers into seclusion. 2 months later, Chengwu was sitting on the grass in front of his door, playing with a furry and somewhat familiar little fox. Suddenly, he felt the heaven and earth spiritual energy gather from all directions and surge in one direction, and that direction was Long Ruoxue's residence. At the same time, Song Di and the others, who felt that something was amiss, ran out of their rooms. When they saw the dense weather's spiritual energy surge into Long Ruox's room, their faces revealed happy smiles because this meant that Miss had broken through. Long Ruoxue, who was cultivating in the bracelet, was indeed at the critical moment of her breakthrough. The spiritual energy she needed was also aplenty. After all, what she wanted to break through this time was the heaven-defying skill. Her current body was like a bottomless pit, and the amount of spiritual energy she needed was unimaginable. Long Ruoxue, who was in the purple bamboo house, had already let go of all her senses. Thick heaven and earth spiritual energy surged into her body through her pores. At this moment, her face was in extreme pain, and the spiritual energy that entered her body was not very obedient. It was rampaging in her body. Long Ruoxue separated a trace of divine sense and guided the heaven and earth spiritual energy in her body forward in one direction. After running 36 cycles, the heaven and earth spiritual energy was gradually fused with the original spiritual energy in her body and became obedient. She even controlled the spiritual energy to attack the same location in one go. Once, twice. After countless repeated and persistent collisions, there was a loud bang. Long Ruoxue finally broke through to the 5th level of the heaven-defying skill. As she broke through to the 5th level, her body was modified by the heaven-defying skill again. The negligible impurities were cleansed again, and her vital flame also evolved again. Chapter 852. Cheap Big Brother. Advance. 4. After breaking through to the 5th level, the spiritual energy accumulated in Long Ruox's body was used up again, so she could only resign herself to fate and work hard to absorb the spiritual energy of the heaven and earth to replenish the insufficient spiritual energy in her body. After absorbing for 3 days, the spiritual qi in Long Ruox's body recovered to about 20%. Even though it was only 20%, she could absolutely do whatever she wanted in the vast heaven continent. Because these 20% of spiritual qi in her body were enough to bring her to the level of a mystic supremacy cultivating for several hundred years. After Long Ruoxue opened her eyes, she saw the freak smiling at her. "Freak, when did you wake up?" Long Ruoxue leaned into the freak's embrace and asked curiously. "Before you broke through," the freak explained with a light smile. "Why do you always wake up before me?" Long Ruoxue pretended to be dissatisfied. "Because you need more spiritual energy than me," the freak coaxed. "That's true, Sai. My body is a bottomless pit. Fortunately, I have the heaven and earth bracelet. Otherwise, I really don't know where to get so much heaven and earth spiritual energy." Long Ruoxue complained softly. "Boo-hoo. The spiritual energy she needed was unimaginable to others. Do you think fortune is so easy to obtain? Other people need much less spiritual energy than you. They also don't have opportunities like you," the freak said affectionately. Yes, that makes sense." Long Ruoxue nodded repeatedly. Actually, she wasn't complaining. She just wanted to act coquettishly with the freak. She also wanted to be coaxed after all. "Schwer, let's go out. Chengwu and the others are already waiting anxiously outside," the freak said understandingly. Why haven't grandfather and the others come out of seclusion yet?" Long Ruoxue was a little puzzled. According to grandfather and the others' cultivation levels, they should have come out of seclusion before her. "Don't be anxious. They should be here soon," the freak comforted. "Okay." Long Ruoxue nodded and pulled the freak out of the purple bamboo house. After exiting the purple bamboo house, Long Ruoxue directly unlocked the 5th layer of the seal for Qingju. After removing the seal, there were 10 more pieces of land that Qingju liked, and Qingju actually obtained the ability to read minds. Long Ruoxue was very satisfied with this ability. Even though the baby could read minds, she had to bring the baby out of the bracelet so that the baby could use it on others. If Qingju also had this ability, then what he possessed would naturally belong to her as his master. Therefore, it would be more convenient for her. Oh, this was what her irresponsible master thought. After doing all this, Qingju brought his little black dog sidekick and ran to a corner to discuss how to use the newly appeared land. Long Ruoxue and the freak left the bracelet. Lung Ruoxue and the freak left the bracelet. Just as they left the room, they saw Cheng Wu and the others gathered outside the door, anxiously walking around. Miss, you're out. Cheng Wu and the others immediately surrounded Lung Ruoxue and the freak when they saw them. Okay. Lung Ruoxue nodded. It had been a few months since they last met. It seemed they were living quite comfortably. Miss, why are there only the two of you? Song Di couldn't help asking curiously when he saw that there was no one else behind Mississippi. They haven't come out of seclusion yet. Lung Ruoxue explained. Oh. Cheng Wu and the others nodded. Then, everyone reported their results for nearly 3 months. You're in charge of the Azure Dragon Mountain now? Lung Ruoxue was a little surprised. Brother Li and the others were too easy to trust. That's right. Everything on Azure Dragon Mountain is as usual, Cheng Wu said proudly. Oh, since Big Brother Li and the others have temporarily handed over Azure Dragon Mountain to you, work hard. Don't let Big Brother Li down, Lung Ruoxue reminded. Yes, Mississippi. When are we leaving Azure Dragon Mountain? Cheng Wu asked curiously. Even though the environment on Azure Dragon Mountain was good and they got along well with the bandits in the mountain, he preferred to take risks with Mississippi. Let's wait for Big Brother Li and the others to come out of seclusion, Lung Ruoxue said after thinking for a while. She originally wanted everyone to leave after advancing, but Big Brother Li and the others entrusted the Azure Dragon Mountain to Cheng Wu and the others. In this way, they couldn't leave easily. Otherwise, if anything happened to the Azure Dragon Mountain, wouldn't they be letting down the trust of Big Brother Li and the others? Okay. Cheng Wu and the others nodded. A week after Lung Ruoxue and the freak came out of seclusion, Lung Qingtian and the others also came out. Grandpa, you're finally out, Lung Ruoxue said happily when she saw Lung Qingtian and the others. Haha, Schwer, you must be anxious from waiting, Lung Qingtian said happily. It's okay, Lung Ruoxue said with a light smile. She and the freak had not advanced to mystic supremacy after coming out of seclusion because they were waiting for their grandfather and the others. Grandpa, let's advance first, Lung Ruoxue suggested. In the past few days, she and the freak had circled around the bandits' nest and found a place with no one. It was very suitable for them to advance. Okay, Lung Qingtian nodded. After that, everyone followed Lung Ruoxue and the freak to the place they had found beforehand, preparing to advance collectively. Grandpa, almost no one comes here. It's not bad, right? Lung Ruoxue brought her grandfather and the others to a canyon and asked. Lung Qingtian raised his head and looked at the canyon in front of him. This canyon only had one entrance, and the entrance was very small. It could only accommodate 3 people at a time at most, so it could be considered a good secret place. Yes, not bad. Lung Qingtian nodded in satisfaction. This place was quite suitable for seclusion. Moreover, it was easy to defend but difficult to attack. We can begin to advance now, Lung Ruoxue reminded. They had so many beasts. If they didn't find a place with fewer people, they would scare others. After speaking, Lung Ruoxue directly sat cross-legged on a large limestone and moved the beasts out of her bracelet, preparing to advance. The others also found seats and sat down. At the same time, they summoned their beasts. Before long, the dazzling laws of the world descended into the valley. Lung Ruoxue and the others worked very hard to absorb the blessings of the world after advancing to mystic supremacy until the laws of the world slowly dissipated. Chapter 853, Cheap Big Brother, Advance 5. Immediately after, the beasts advanced wave after wave. Because Lung Ruoxue's heaven-defying skill broke through the 5th level, her beasts obtained the most benefits. Among them, Bai Zu's level was still the highest. He had reached level 9 Transcendent Divine Beasts, Feng Zhan was level 8 Transcendent Divine Beasts, and Charm was level 7 Transcendent Divine Beasts. He was just a step away from advancing to level 8 Transcendent Divine Beasts. Baby and the other beasts directly advanced to level 6 Transcendent Divine Beasts. The Silver Wolves and the other slightly weaker beasts also reached level 5 Transcendent Divine Beasts. In short, Lung Ruoxue was still the biggest winner in this advancement. At the same time, The advancement of the beasts also brought her huge benefits. As for the others, they naturally had their own gains. In short, everyone was happy. After Long Ruoxue and the others finished their advancement, everyone celebrated and then temporarily stayed in Azure Dragon Mountain. A month after their advancement, Lin Liang and the others finally came out of seclusion. Everyone chatted for a while, then Long Ruoxue brought them to the canyon they had advanced to. When Lin Liang and the others came out of seclusion, each of them advanced 2 levels consecutively and directly became mystic supremacies. I say, no wonder you old fellows can't bear to come out of seclusion. So you're all waiting to directly advance to mystic supremacy. Long Qingtian said in realization from the bracelet. Hee, we were also forced into a corner. Who asked you to cultivate too quickly? Wouldn't we be dragging you down if we don't work hard? Lin Liang said matter-of-factly. They were already clearly aware of the difference in their cultivations with Long Qingtian and the others after they came out of seclusion the last time. So, they'd secretly decided that they wouldn't come out unless they advanced to mystic supremacy. After all, everyone was suppressing their anger. Yes, that makes sense. Long Qingtian nodded in agreement. These old men were all unyielding, so he understood their thoughts very well. If it was him, he would probably do the same. However, he still felt quite aggrieved thinking that he hadn't seen these old friends for so long. Hee, we won't be in seclusion often in the future, so don't be like this. Lin Liang couldn't stand the expression on Long Qingshan's face. That's right. I've been busy cultivating as a mystic cultivator recently and haven't refined weapons for a long time, so I shouldn't be in seclusion for the time being, the disheveled old man promised. Yes, I'm afraid you must have lost touch. Long Qingtian gloated. Of course. No, I have to work hard on weapon refinement recently, the disheveled old man said hurriedly. Then, he turned to Long Ruoxue. Lass, you have to provide me with more materials for weapon refinement. Okay, just ask Qingju for it, Long Ruoxue reminded. All right, they'll look for him now. After the disheveled old man said that, he ran off to look for Qingju anxiously. Grandpa, you guys chat. They'll go out with the freak, Long Ruoxue suddenly said. After speaking, she pulled the freak out of the bracelet. Cheng Wu and the others had just returned from their robbery. Recently, Cheng Wu, Fengda, and the others often brought people out to rob and pluck some herbs. They left early and returned late every day. Miss, we gained quite a lot today. Fengda raised the storage ring in his hand and said as if he was presenting a treasure. You robbed something good? Long Ruoxue asked curiously. How can there be good things? The people who come to the Azure Dragon Mountain are afraid that they will be robbed by bandits. They won't bring any valuable things at all. Alas, it's not easy to be a professional bandit. If things go wrong, they will starve to death. Fengda said sympathetically. They didn't know if they didn't enter this line of work. It was also very difficult to be a bandit. Fortunately, the bandits in the Azure Dragon Mountain weren't short of money and only treated robbery as a boring game. Otherwise, they would have starved to death long ago. What did you get? Long Ruoxue was puzzled. We dug up a lot of herbs of good quality and also found some rare ores, Fengda said happily. They might not be alchemists or weapons masters, but because of Miss, they had a certain understanding of herbs and ores. Ever since they came out of seclusion, they would wander around the mountain when they had nothing to do, robbing and picking herbs as a dragon. That's right. Long Ruoxue took the ring and looked at it. Then she placed the ring into the bracelet and handed it to Qingju. Fengda, Grandpa Lin, and the others have also advanced to mystic supremacy. Let's celebrate tonight. Prepare yourselves well, Long Ruoxue instructed. Okay, Miss, are you still in the space? Fengda asked. No, just outside, Long Ruoxue said after some thought. Then she handed Fengda a ring containing the food she had prepared beforehand. Okay, let's go get ready, Fengda said and left. At night, Fengda and the others lit a few bonfires in the open space in front of the house and roasted the packed fish and meat on the fire. After all the food was ready, Long Ruoxue and the others sat around the empty space and started eating. It smells so good. A familiar voice suddenly sounded in everyone's ears halfway through their meal. Big Brotherly, you're out of seclusion. Lung Ruoxue said in surprise. Yes. He. Li Zhong said with a smile. He did not stand on ceremony and directly picked up a piece of grilled golden meat to eat. I came out after a few months of seclusion and my cultivation improved slightly. You must be anxious, Li Zhong said understandingly. He knew that Lung Ruoxue and the others had other things to do. However, because they didn't come out of seclusion, the Azure Dragon Mountain was leaderless, so they didn't leave. Thinking of this, his heart couldn't help warming. No, the environment of Azure Dragon Mountain is good. There are clear mountains and clear waters, and there are countless herbs. Why are we in a hurry to leave? Lung Ruoxue said honestly. They had gained quite a lot after staying in Azure Dragon Mountain for a few months. That's good. Li Zhong smiled foolishly. Big Brother Li, when are the other brothers coming out of seclusion? Lung Ruoxue asked curiously. The spiritual energy in this Azure Dragon Mountain was very good. Moreover, there was a spirit vein under the ground where the bandits' nest was. Therefore, if they didn't have the Heaven and Earth bracelet, this was a good place to cultivate. I'm afraid they won't be able to come out for a while, Li Zhong said after some thought. Oh, this is a good place to cultivate. You should treasure it. Lung Ruoxue nodded. Yes, this might have been discovered by our Li family's ancestor, but if that ancestor wasn't powerful, he probably wouldn't have been able to protect this Azure Dragon Mountain. Therefore, we will let the ancestors down if we don't cultivate properly. Li Zhong nodded. That's right, Big Brother Li, there's no banquet that doesn't end in this world. Since you've already come out of seclusion, then we'll leave tomorrow. We'll meet again. Lung Ruoxue said bluntly. This was something she had long planned. Okay, I know Sister Schwer has other things to do. Big Brother won't force you to stay since you want to leave. However, you have to remember that this Azure Dragon Mountain will always be your home, and you are welcome to return anytime, Li Zhong said very sincerely. Yes, Big Brother forgot that I still have your Green Dragon Mountains token in my hand. You can come anytime you want, Lung Ruoxue reminded. He. That's right. Sister Schwer, if there's anything in the future that requires Big Brother's help, send a letter to Big Brother. Big Brother won't refuse, Li Zhong reminded. Okay, I won't stand on ceremony with my brother, Lung Ruoxue promised. Because of Li Zhong's unexpected appearance, this meal actually became everyone's farewell banquet in the end. However, everyone was still very happy. After dinner, Fengda and the others were basically drunk and directly lay down to sleep. Li Zhong was brought back to his residence by his subordinates. The next day, when Fengda and the others woke up, it was almost noon. They had a simple meal and planned to go on their way. Outside Lung Ruoxue and the others' residence, one of Li Zhong's subordinates was ordered to send Lung Ruoxue and the others off. Miss, our big boss gave this to you. The subordinate handed her a ring. Where is Big Brother Li? Lung Ruoxue took the ring and looked at it. She couldn't help asking in surprise. This ring was actually filled with herbs of the Heaven and Earth treasure level. This farewell gift was really too precious. Leader isn't awake yet. He instructed me to prepare it before bed yesterday. I hope Miss Lung is satisfied, the subordinate said. I'm very satisfied. Thank you. Help me pass this to Big Brother Li. Lung Ruoxue also handed over a ring. She naturally wouldn't take someone else's things for nothing, so she secretly instructed Qingju to prepare a generous gift. Okay, Miss Lung, I'll send you down the mountain. No need. Go take care of Brother Li. We can find the way. After Lung Ruoxue finished speaking, she left the bandits' den with everyone. Chapter 855. The storm rises again, too. My Luo family was besieged. It wasn't easy for me to escape. Luo Lin's heart tightened because of Lung Ruoxue's words. He couldn't help telling the secret he wanted to hide. However, he was a little choked up halfway through. Who? Lung Ruoxue suppressed her anger and asked. Damn it, one had to look at the owner before beating a dog. How dare he touch her people? He was really tired of living. Miss, thank you for saving me. It's better if you don't know about this. Luo Lin regretted speaking about the Luo family. Alas, he didn't want to implicate them. After all, these people were his benefactors. The other party is very powerful. I don't want to implicate you, Luo Lin added under Feng De and the others' unfriendly gazes. Implicate us? Could it be the Lan and Long families that attacked the Luo family? Feng De asked curiously.
No.
Luo Lin was a little speechless. How could a super family take a fancy to their Luo family? Then what are you afraid of? Feng De said resentfully. He really wanted to kick Luo Lin twice for his displeasure. I'm afraid I'll implicate you. The other party is very fierce. If I know that you saved me, I'm afraid you'll also be in trouble, Luo Lin said honestly. Those people were probably looking for fish that had slipped through the net all over the world now. TCH, I've never been afraid of trouble that I shouldn't be afraid of. Brat, tell us quickly who attacked the Luo clan so that we can avenge you. Feng De coaxed. You're willing to take revenge for me? Luo Lin was pleasantly surprised and touched. Alas, he had tasted the coldness and warmth of human relationships since the Luo family's accident. The families that were on good terms with the Luo family in the past either avoided him or refused to cooperate. He didn't expect these people who had only met him once to be willing to take revenge for him. Nonsense. Why else would we ask you these questions? Feng De roared angrily. This kid had to train well. His words were too blunt. He was anxious. I appreciate your kind intentions, but there are so few of you who can't help me. After the joy, Luo Lin calmed down. Brat, are you looking down on us? Let me tell you, if we can't help you, then no one in this world can help you. Feng De roared furiously. He and his companions had always been straightforward with each other, saying whatever was on their minds. Therefore, the lack of communication with Luo Lin made him want to beat someone up. Thank you. I'm very grateful for your kind intentions, but you can't help me. The only person who can help the Luo family is our master, so I have to find my master. I'm sorry, I'll take my leave. Luo Lin got up from the beach and turned around, planning to leave. He knew that if he was with them, these people would be implicated by him if the enemy found him. Stop right there. Are you looking for Long Ruoxue? Long Ruoxue roared uncontrollably. You know my master? Luo Lin said with some surprise. Master's reputation was very resounding in the boundless heaven continent a few years ago. However, in the recent few years, he disappeared without a trace. Furthermore, there were very few news of Master's matters. Therefore, wanting to look for Master was no different from finding a needle in a haystack. Therefore, seeing his benefactor knowing his master, he was surprised in his heart. However, he did not dare to have too much hope. Yes, Long Ruoxue said lightly. How could she not know her? Then do you know the whereabouts of my master? Luo Lin hesitated and finally asked. I know. Long Ruoxue nodded. It was right in front of her. Can you tell me? Luo Lin asked expectantly, excited. Long Ruoxue. Long Ruoxue said helplessly. Luo Lin was a little dumbfounded. I say, you silly boy. Think about it. If we had never known you, why would we be so enthusiastic to avenge you? Feng De said helplessly. This boy was most likely scared silly by others. Are you really Long Ruoxue, my master of the Luo family? Luo Lin, who only regained his senses after a while, said in disbelief. Long Ruoxue. Your Luo family has also sworn a blood oath to me to be my servant. However, the Luo family doesn't seem to be willing to have me as their master, so I don't want to force it. In short, you can only be considered strangers who have a blood oath with me, Long Ruoxue explained calmly. Master, the Luo family only recognizes you as their master, Luo Lin said with a bitter smile. He knew that the Luo family and master's relationship was not very harmonious, so he did not know what to say. Let's not talk about this first. Tell me what's going on with the Luo family and who attacked the Luo family? Long Ruoxue asked bluntly. After all, the Luo family had sworn a blood oath, so she couldn't stand by and do nothing even if she didn't acknowledge the Luo family enough. The Luo clan has been developing very well in recent years, so it has aroused the jealousy of some families. This time, it was the Luo clan that was jointly attacked by several families. Now, Luo City and Martial Immortal City have probably been divided up by them, Luo Linyu said with hatred, tears flowing faintly in her eyes. Who are they? Long Ruoxue asked in an unfriendly tone. With the Su family as the leader, there's still the Bai, Qi, and Zhao families, Luo Lin said with tears in his eyes. The Su family? Long Ruoxue sighed. After dealing with the Sun family, she was in a hurry to enter seclusion and ignored the Su family. Yes, led by the Su family. Master, the Luo family suffered heavy losses this time. There were countless casualties, Luo Lin said with a pained expression. Does the Luo family have any communication signal? Long Ruoxue asked.
Yes.
Luo Lin nodded. Then gather all the surviving members of the Luo family, Long Ruoxue instructed. Yes, Luo Lin replied. If you need anything, ask Fengde to cooperate with you, Long Ruoxue said after some thought.
Yes.
Luo Lin was very happy. It felt really good to find an organization and have someone backing him up. For some reason, after he knew that the beautiful girl in front of him was his master, his heart actually felt a sense of peace that he had never felt before at this moment. The panic from being displaced and at a loss for what to do seemed to have calmed down at this moment. After making some simple arrangements, Long Ruoxue brought everyone back to the inn. Chapter 856. The Storm Rises Again. 3. A few days later, Long Ruoxue met the heavily injured Luo Xian and Luo Fei, father and son. She also learned more about the inside story from them. However, the more she knew, the angrier she became. This was because this actually involved some people from the Long family, and these people were most likely here for her. In the guest room, the freak hugged the silent Long Ruoxue and comforted her gently. Schwer, there's no need to be so angry over a few clowns. Just kill them. Yes, looks like we're still too kind. Long Ruoxue nodded in agreement. Hee. Fengde and the others will definitely be happy now, the freak teased with a light smile. Well, take action when they return, Long Ruoxue said after some thought. She sent Fengde and the others to look for the Luo family members who were still alive. However, almost 10 days had passed, and Fengde and the others had yet to return. Okay, by the way, the injuries of the Luo father and son should be almost healed, right? The freak asked. Yes, your injuries are healed, but your body is still a little weak. You have to rest for a few days, Long Ruoxue said. The father and son had been injured for too long and hadn't received timely treatment, so their foundation had been injured. Just as the two of them were chatting, there was a knock on the door. The freak stood up and went to open the door. Miss, we're back. Fengde and the others couldn't help but shout as soon as they entered the room. Why did you guys take so long? Long Ruoxue was puzzled. This place was at most 3 days away from Luo City. Miss, we stayed in Luo City and Martial Immortal City for a few days to understand the situation there. Moreover, we rescued many Luo family members who were locked up by them, Fengde explained. Oh. Long Ruoxue nodded. Miss, the Su family is really ruthless. I don't know what to say about the Luo family members who were arrested, Fengde said angrily. Tell me. Long Ruoxue was very calm. She had already guessed that the Luo family, who had fallen into the hands of the enemy, would not have a good life. The men of the Luo clan had their meridians crippled, and the women were. Fengde really couldn't continue. How many people were captured alive? Long Ruoxue asked lightly. Less than 100 people, and the ones who survived are all men, Fengde explained. They only saw the corpses of the women from the Luo clan, and the men were tortured beyond recognition. What about those who weren't caught? Long Ruoxue continued to ask. After we left the Luo clan's secret signal in Luo City and Martial Immortal City, only 30 people from the Luo clan came to seek refuge. Furthermore, they were all injured. Fengde was very helpless. Let's settle them down. After they recover, we'll go to Luo City and Martial Immortal City, Long Ruoxue instructed. Yes. Miss, the old ancestor of the Luo clan wants to see you, Fengde said again. Oh, let him in. Long Ruoxue nodded. Yes, Fengde answered and left. Soon, he brought in an old man in ragged clothes. The old man knelt on the ground with tears in his eyes as soon as he saw Long Ruoxue. He cried, "Master, our Luo family is gone. Boo-hoo. I've let Master down. Where there's life, there's hope. The Luo family didn't die. Why are you crying?" Long Ruoxue pretended to reprimand. In her mind, as long as there was still a breath left, there was hope for revenge. Moreover, it was not too late for a gentleman to take revenge. Even if he couldn't take revenge now, he would one day. Therefore, the most important thing was for someone to live. If everyone was gone, there would naturally be no hope for revenge. Master is right. The old ancestor of the Luo clan wiped his tears and said with some embarrassment, "Boo-hoo." He had lived for such a long time, but he was actually not as clear-minded as a little child. Alas! Otherwise, how could she be their master? Thinking of this, his heart couldn't help becoming bright. Moreover, he believed that as long as his master was around, there was nothing he couldn't take revenge for. "Get up. You don't have to kneel." Long Ruoxue didn't like to see such an old man kneeling in front of her while crying. It felt strange.
Yes.
The old ancestor of the Luo clan stood up obediently, but he kept bowing to show his absolute respect for Long Ruoxue. "Do you have any plans?" Long Ruoxue probed. "Master, I want to avenge the Luo clan's dead clansmen. Please help me," the Luo clan's old ancestor pleaded. He knew that no one could help him now except for Master. He might not know Master's true strength, but he was confident that Master could definitely seek justice for the Luo clan. There's no problem with taking revenge. However, have you ever thought that even if you take revenge, with your Luo family's current strength, you probably won't be able to have a foothold in the boundless heaven continent either? I have to leave this world sooner or later. If the same thing happens again next time, I'm afraid I won't be able to do anything, Long Ruoxue reminded. After advancing to mystic supremacy, she was clear that she wouldn't stay in this world for long. This time, she could help the Luo family take back everything that they had lost. However, if the Luo family couldn't defend it, they would lose it sooner or later. "Please enlighten me, Master." The old ancestor of the Luo clan was very respectful. "I'll only give you 10 years. You have to rely on yourselves to develop the Luo family," Long Ruoxue said indifferently. The Luo family had a blood oath with her that they would never betray her, so she was very willing to give them a chance. However, whether they could grasp it depended on themselves. 10 years? "Master, you know our Luo family's current appearance." The Luo family's old ancestor was a little hesitant. He could hear what Master meant. If the Luo family could not do anything in 10 years, Master would not be able to help them. However, with the Luo family's current situation, forget 1 decade, even 10 years would be very difficult to recover. Furthermore, even during the Golden Age, the Luo family's strength in the boundless heaven continent could only be considered above average. Therefore, he felt that 10 years was simply not enough. "Since I've given you 10 years, I'll naturally provide all of your help. As for the injured clansmen, you don't have to worry. I'll treat them. After taking revenge this time, you just have to focus on developing the Luo clan," Long Ruoxue explained. Chapter 857. The Storm Rises Again. 4. Thank you, Master. Our Luo clan will definitely not disappoint you. The old ancestor felt relieved after hearing Long Ruoxue's words. Well, fortunately, Master did not give up on them. Otherwise, their Luo clan would really be finished. "Give these pills to your clansmen. We'll take revenge after they recover." Long Ruoxue took out a few bottles of pills from her ring and handed them to the Luo clan's old ancestor. "Thank you for the reward, Master," the old ancestor of the Luo clan said happily. He bowed to Long Ruoxue and left the room. "Shuer, are you planning to accept these servants?" the freak asked with a light smile after the Luo clan's old ancestor left. "They're too weak and can't help me much. However, they won't betray me with the blood oath, so it'll help if I can. As for the future, it'll depend on their Luo family," Long Ruoxue said softly. They are indeed too weak now. However, they hugged this big tree of yours, destined to have a place in the boundless heaven continent, the freak said knowingly. It's a little too early to say this now. What if the Luo family is a hopeless situation? Moreover, acknowledging me as your master might not be a good thing for the Luo family, Lung Ruoxue said faintly. She had many enemies. If the Luo family couldn't protect themselves, it would cause a sect-destroying disaster. Someone from the Long family was also involved in this matter. She didn't know if it was because of her, Sai. Shuer, don't think about this. Let's go out and take a walk. The freak changed the topic. He didn't want to see Shuer unhappy. Okay. Lung Ruoxue nodded, and then the two of them left the restaurant. 3 days later, the injuries of the Luo family members had already healed with Lung Ruoxue's medicinal pills. Not only that, but their strength had actually increased. This made them wild with joy, and the hatred that had lingered in their hearts for the past few days was slightly relieved. At the same time, they saw hope for revenge and even had a trace of anticipation for the Luo family's future. Among the Luo family, other than Luo Xian and his son and Luo Lin, it was basically the first time everyone had seen their master. However, just this time, their admiration for Lung Ruoxue had risen to an unprecedented height. Right now, they were blindly obedient to Lung Ruoxue. If Lung Ruoxue said 1, they would not say 2. They would do whatever she asked them to do, and were extremely obedient. At the entrance of the restaurant, Lung Ruoxue looked at the Luo family members who had recovered well and said with a faint smile, "Let's go. Let's go to Luo City first." With that, everyone sat on the back of the little peacock that had been waiting by the side. After everyone sat down, the little peacock flapped its wings and rushed into the clouds. After flying for 2 days, Lung Ruoxue and the others arrived in Luo City. At this moment, Luo City had already been occupied by the Bai and Zhao families. The city gate was also plastered with portraits of the Luo family. After the little peacock landed at the city gate, Lung Ruoxue and the others jumped off the little peacock's back and walked directly towards the city gate. Guards! It's the Luo family. Hurry up and report to the city lord. The guards who had recognized the Luo family roared at the top of their lungs before Lung Ruoxue and the others approached. Immediately, the city gate was in chaos. The guards even turned around and returned to the city. At the same time, the city gate was slammed shut with a loud bang. The guards in the city ran to the city wall and looked down at them. Lung Ruoxue looked at the guards' reactions with a black face and was a little speechless. What did they mean? Shouldn't they be the ones afraid in the eyes of these guards? Why were these guards like frightened birds? Well, this reaction was really too strange. You demons, the city lord won't let you go. You're dead meat. A guard roared bravely, but his trembling body revealed his fear. Demon? Did I hear wrongly? Lung Ruoxue didn't expect these guards to have such great ability to distort the truth. Wasn't the person being tortured from the Luo family? Why did they become demons instead? This was obviously the villain complaining first. Demon, I didn't expect you to still dare to come back. The city lord has already set up an inescapable net and is waiting for you, the guard continued. However, his head was hit ruthlessly. Sai, why did you hit me? The guard glared at the person who hit him and said unhappily. You idiot, who asked you to say this? That person roared uncontrollably. Didn't you say that we can't lose in terms of imposing manner? The guard was very aggrieved. Are you done discussing? Lung Ruoxue looked at the guards who were out of line and large beads of sweat rolled down her forehead. What do you want? The guard asked nervously. Boo-hoo. This woman gave him a lot of pressure. Of course we want to enter the city. If you know what's good for you, quickly open the city gate. Otherwise, I will have to use force. Lung Ruoxue said politely before resorting to force. You. How dare you? The city lord won't let you go. The guard carried the city lord out when he heard that. It doesn't matter. Today will be their death date, Lung Ruoxue said nonchalantly. She couldn't be bothered to talk nonsense with them anymore, and directly moved Lao Mao and the pythons out of the bracelet. The two hairy beasts had already acknowledged him as their master before the disheveled old man advanced. Therefore, after the disheveled old man advanced, they also advanced to level 7 transcendent divine beasts. However, Because they were already used to living in the space, they stayed in the space after recognizing him as their master. Mississippi. Chapter 858. The storm rises again. 5. The guards on the city wall fell from high ground as the city wall fell. Lung Ruoxue and the others directly ignored these small fries, stepped on the ruins of the city wall, and walked in with large strides. After entering Luo City, Lung Ruoxue realized that the city was a little bleak. There were pitifully few pedestrians on the streets. Moreover, when they saw them, they all hid with fear in their eyes. Fengda, did you do something bad? Why do the people in this city look like they saw a ghost when they see us? Lung Ruoxue asked in puzzlement. Miss, we didn't do anything. We only dealt with a few people and conveniently went to the Bai and Zhao family's main residences to cause trouble. Hee. Anyway, the Bai and Zhao families are quite close to here, so we were just passing by. Fengda scratched his head and said somewhat embarrassedly. Oh. Lung Ruoxue nodded and didn't continue asking. However, she believed that it wouldn't be as simple as Fengda said. Master, the city lord residence of our Luo city is just around the corner in front. The old ancestor of the Luo clan said with 2 drops of cold sweat dripping down his forehead. He knew better than anyone how much of a slander Fengda's words were because he had seen it with his own eyes. Boo-hoo. It was really too violent. His heart was still trembling when he recalled it until now. Yes, that's also the Luo family's main residence. Lung Ruoxue said understandingly. Yes, Luo Xian said sadly. To the entire Luo clan, this matter was both a disaster and a great humiliation. Thus, revenge was necessary. Everyone chatted as they walked. Soon, they arrived at the city lord residence. At this moment, the city lord residents had already received news of their arrival, so they had long entered a highly alert state. Oh, looks like you're all ready. Lung Ruoxue looked at the Bai and Zhao families gathered at the entrance of the city lord residence and said with a light smile, Are you a helper from the Luo clan? A middle-aged man asked. No, Lung Ruoxue replied lightly. Leave Luo City immediately if you're not. I can't bear to hurt a beauty like you. The middle-aged man said wretchedly, his eyes revealing a perverted glint. Do it. Lung Ruoxue didn't want to waste time with them, so she ordered directly. Yes. Fengda and the others replied. After that, they swarmed forward and casually found an opponent to beat up. After they were done, they directly released their profound techniques to annihilate their opponent. Just like that, in less than half an hour, the Bai and Zhao families' allied forces disappeared from the boundless heaven continent without any strength to resist. Fengda and the others were still somewhat unsatisfied because, in their eyes, these two families were too ungovernable. The matter in Luo City was resolved so quickly that the Luo family couldn't help but be dumbfounded. They knew that their master's subordinates were very strong, but they didn't expect them to be so powerful. How could they bear this? Sigh. If the Luo family had such strength, how could they still be bullied so badly? However, with a master like Lung Ruoxue, the Luo family believed that sooner or later, they would stand at the peak of the boundless heaven continent. However, they were also a little troubled now because master's subordinates were too formidable. This made them very uneasy in their hearts. Boo-hoo. What if master despised them? Thinking of this possibility, the Luo family was a little conflicted. I said I would give you 10 years. Lung Ruoxue couldn't help but remind them when she saw the depressed expressions on the Luo family's faces. That's right. The Luo family members immediately perked up when they heard Lung Ruoxue's words. They might not be able to help their master now, but they believed that they would definitely become his right-hand man one day, so they couldn't wallow in self-pity. They had to have enough confidence. Thinking of this, their mood immediately became high. Let's go. We'll get rid of the Bai and Zhao families completely, and then go to Martial Immortal City. Lung Ruoxue instructed when she saw the Luo family's aura rise. Yes, the Luo family answered in unison. Their spirits high. Let's go. Lung Ruoxue ordered. Then, everyone sat on the little peacock's back and flew straight to the Bai and Zhao families' main cities. After arriving at the main city of the Bai and Zhao families, Lung Ruoxue and the others didn't waste any energy at all to clean up the Bai and Zhao families. Then, they went to Martial Immortal City. Martial Immortal City was similar to Luo City. The city gate was also heavily guarded. However, the guards guarding the city were also panicking when they saw them. Then, they abandoned the city gate and fled in a hurry. The Su family and the Qi family are really cowards. How dare they surround others with this little guts? I really don't know who borrowed their guts, Fengde said with a face full of disdain. Haha, that's right. Cheng Wu echoed. Little peacock, fly directly to the city lord residence. Lung Ruoxue instructed. They were not unfamiliar with the city lord residence of Martial Immortal City. After all, they had stayed there for a few days.
Yes.
The little peacock nodded and flew directly over the city wall towards the city lord residence. When they arrived at the city lord residence, they saw the door of the city lord residence open wide, but there was no one at the door. Lung Ruoxue and the others were puzzled when they saw this situation. Little peacock, fly in and take a look, Lung Ruoxue said after some thought.
Yes.
The little peacock flew directly into the city lord residence after receiving Lung Ruoxue's order. With that, the little peacock flew directly over the Qi family's tall yard wall and landed in the main yard. Who is it? How dare you barge into the Qi family? The little peacock was discovered by the Qi family's guards as soon as it landed. Of course, it could not be ruled out as doing this on purpose. A troublemaker. Can't you tell? The little peacock blinked its big watery eyes and said innocently, How dare you? How dare you destroy the Qi family's territory? The guard said in disbelief. However, when he saw the Luo family's old ancestor sitting on the little peacock's back, his back turned cold, and a bad premonition surged in his heart. At this moment, he already knew that the Luo family was here to take revenge. Chapter 859. Returning to the Long family 1. So what if it's the Qi family? Is the Qi family a tiger's den? Tell your patriarch that we're smashing the Qi family's territory. Fengde glared and roared loudly. Haha, that's right. Hurry up and let your patriarch come out to die. Lin Yuan echoed. How dare you? Our patriarch is entertaining guests. Don't be impudent. At this moment, a man rushed out of the main hall. When he saw Lung Ruoxue and the others, he roared in disdain. Esteemed guest? Then please come out and die together. Lung Ruoxue said with a light smile. She felt a few powerful auras in the main hall. They were probably helpers invited by the Qi family. It was just right to deal with them together. After all, in her eyes, whoever helped the enemy was her enemy. Don't regret it. The man threatened before turning around and returning to the main hall angrily. At this moment, a luxurious welcome banquet was being held in the main hall of the Qi family. The patriarch of the Qi family was sitting at the main table, his face full of charm. However, the strange thing was that he wasn't sitting in the main seat. Sitting on the main seat was a middle-aged man with a terrifying aura and a gloomy face. This man was around 40 to 50 years old, and his strength was unfathomable. On both sides of him sat two older men with strength and bearing that were slightly inferior to his. Other than that, the others sitting at the main table were all the elders of the Qi family. The Qi family's patriarch did his best to curry favor with the middle-aged man sitting in the chair. After a few glasses of yellow wine, the middle-aged man gradually smiled. Patriarch Qi, don't worry. They'll put in a good word for your daughter. However, the young master is stubborn. Recently, he hasn't even been willing to listen to many of his elders, so the middle-aged man seemed to be in a dilemma. He stopped mid-sentence, his meaning self-evident. Third butler, don't worry. I won't treat you badly. If this matter is completed, you will all be the great benefactors of our Qi family. As for the matter with the Luo family, please extend a helping hand and lend our Qi family a hand. This old man will be endlessly grateful. The Qi family's patriarch was very tactful. After hearing the middle-aged man's words, he gave his subordinate a look. The subordinates beside him immediately sent a storage ring seeing this. The Qi family's patriarch handed the ring to the middle-aged man. The man took it and used his divine sense to scan it. Then he nodded with slight satisfaction, the smile on his face widening. Patriarch Qi, don't worry. I'll do my best regarding your daughter. As for the Luo family, you don't have to worry. The Luo family won't be able to overturn the sky with us around, the middle-aged man promised. He naturally had to be careful after obtaining such a huge benefit. However, he didn't expect the Qi family to be so generous. It seemed like they had paid a huge price this time. The man thought to himself, hee hee, with the third butler, this old man can rest my heart in my stomach. The Qi family's patriarch was very good at currying favor. This flip of the conversation made the middle-aged man feel incomparably comfortable. However, his heart also ached a little because the blood loss this time was really not small. However, for the future of the family, he endured it. However, the host and guest didn't last long before the man who had just left Long Ruoxue and the others with fierce words ran into the main hall and whispered a few words to the Qi family's patriarch. Immediately, the Qi family's patriarch's expression changed again and again. Patriarch Qi, what happened? The middle-aged man asked curiously. Third butler, the remnants of the Luo family are here, and they even let us go out to die. The Qi family's patriarch's face was aggrieved, but he didn't dare to directly order these few people to help them teach the Luo family a lesson. Many people from the Qi family, who were sitting in the living room, had a drastic change in expression when they heard that the Luo family had come knocking on their door. This was because many of them had escaped death from martial Immortal City and returned. The memories that Fengda and the others had left them back then were still as deep as a nightmare. They could not forget them even if they wanted to. Oh, the Luo family isn't a threat. The Qi family can rest easy with us around. There's no need to be afraid, the middle-aged man said confidently. Since he had accepted the Qi family's money, he naturally had to stand up for the Qi family. Third butler is right. I wonder how the Luo family outside will be dealt with? I hope third butler can tell us. Patriarch Qi asked. Leave it to us. Let's go out and take a look. We'll continue drinking after cleaning them up, the middle-aged man said. Then, he was the first to stand up. After everyone stood up, he led everyone into the yard in large strides. In the yard, Long Ruoxue and the freak were still sitting on the little peacock's back, while Fengda and the others stood around the little peacock and surrounded them. The Qi family's patriarch and the others happened to see this scene when they came out of the living room. Luo Xian, how dare you come knocking on our door to die? The Qi family's patriarch roared as he saw Luo Xian standing in the courtyard. Isn't this just right? We don't want you to search for us all over the world. No, it should be to guard against us like we're thieves, Luo Xian said mockingly. Luo Xian, even if you talk big, you won't be able to erase the fact that you're about to die, the Qi family's patriarch said proudly, as if he could already see the Luo family's demise. Yes. These are also what I want to say to you, Luo Xian said calmly. Why waste your breath on him? Just kill him. At this moment, the middle-aged man called Third Butler spoke impatiently. Where did the Qi family invite a dog? Why didn't they tie it up a little? Fengda said coldly, his eyes full of disdain. Who are you from the Luo family? State your name if you have the guts. The third butler was instantly angry when he heard himself being called a dog. His face and neck were red as he roared at the top of his lungs. Third butler, they shouldn't be from the Luo family, the Qi family's patriarch said hurriedly. Oh, so it's also a dog found by the Luo family. The third butler smiled when he heard this. Also, does that mean this third butler admits to being a dog? Fengda said without anger, not taking the words of the person in front of him to heart. You, brat, report your name if you have the guts. My subordinates are not nameless. The third butler suppressed his anger and said, Grandpa is Fengda to remember this name. Otherwise, you won't be able to say it when others ask you how you died when you go to hell, Fengda reminded kindly. After that, everyone left the Qi family. However, they didn't forget to set a fire before leaving. After resting for the night, Long Ruoxue and the others headed straight to the last destination, the Su family's main city the next morning. After arriving at the Su family's main city, Long Ruoxue and the others didn't waste any time. They directly attacked and destroyed the Su family at lightning speed. Then, they arranged for the Luo family. Following that, Long Ruoxue led everyone to Proud Cold City where the Long family was. Chapter 861. Returning to the Long family. 3. Shuer, what are you thinking about? The freak looked at the thoughtful Shuer and asked curiously on the way to Proud Cold City. Freak, we didn't see Su Qian in the Su family, right? Long Ruoxue asked calmly. Yes, that guy probably ran away long ago, the freak said disapprovingly. Su Qian could not cause much trouble, so he was not worried. I keep feeling that guy is a scourge, Long Ruoxue said honestly. Shuer, don't think about it. Didn't you always say that we should deal with whatever comes our way? It's just Su Qian. Don't take it to heart. That guy won't be able to achieve anything, the freak comforted. Okay. Long Ruoxue nodded and changed the topic. The two of them talked about something else. 3 days later, Long Ruoxue and the others arrived at Proud Cold City. Lung Shuang was exceptionally happy to see Long Ruoxue and arranged for them to stay in the Snowfall Garden. In the garden of the Snowfall Garden, Lung Shuang pulled Long Ruoxue affectionately and kept asking questions. Then, she chatted with her about the Long family's recent situation. Long Qinya, who had rushed over, deliberately put on a straight face and walked into the Snowfall Garden. He sat down opposite Long Ruoxue. The two of them looked at each other without saying anything. After some time, Little Shuer, are you here to see me? Lung Qinya couldn't help but ask when he saw that Long Ruoxue ignored him after sitting down for a long time. No, Long Ruoxue said honestly. You, Little Shuer, you're a bad person. To think that I've been thinking about you guys. Boo-hoo. I'm really too sad. Long Qinya wiped his tears and said aggrievedly. Are you here to see your sister, Sister Shuer? Lung Shuang asked curiously. Not really. Long Ruoxue shook her head. Little Shuer, are you here to see my grandfather? Lung Qinya guessed with jealousy. Even though he hadn't gotten Long Ruoxue's answer, he was already jealous. I'm not here to see the Long family, Lung Ruoxue said helplessly. If you're not here to see our Long family, are you here to kill us? Lung Qinya said half-jokingly. He even felt that Little Shuer was getting better at keeping people in suspense. That's right. I'm here to kill the Long family, Lung Ruoxue said with a smile. Lung Qinya and Long Shuang were stunned for a moment before they reacted. Sister Shuer, stop joking. Isn't Long Xing's bloodline already dead? How would the Long family dare to provoke you? Lung Shuang chuckled. No one in the Long family dared to provoke Long Ruoxue now. Sigh. They were afraid of her. Little Shuer, even though you don't like the Long family, you have to have a good reason to kill them. After all, the Long family has a bloodline connection with you. Lung Qinya reminded her helplessly. If Little Shuer killed a few members of the Long family for no reason, it would probably be difficult to explain to eldest grandpa. Of course, it would be different if there was enough reason. Ugh. Lung Shuang was speechless after hearing Lung Qinya's words. She thought to herself, your lineage is really protective of your children. It's fine as long as you have a reason to kill your own clansmen. Sigh. I wonder who provoked Sister Shuer again. Don't worry, every debt has its debtor. Although my motto has always been to eliminate the root of the problem, I wanted that on your account. I only kill those who deserve to die in the Long family, Lung Ruoxue said very respectfully. Sister Shuer, who do you want to kill? Lung Shuang asked in confusion. The family head and elders had strictly ordered the clansmen to stay away from Lung Ruoxue and not take the initiative to provoke her. How could anyone anger Sister Shuer? She really didn't understand. One called Lung Hua, Lung Ruoxue said softly. Lung Hua? What did he do? Lung Qinya asked in confusion. As far as he knew, Lung Hua had never left the clan. How did he provoke Little Shuer? He got the Su family, the Qi family, the Bai family, and the Zhao family to besiege my servants. Oh right, I forgot to tell you that I've already gotten rid of the third butler of the Long family who worked for him, Lung Ruoxue said calmly. Lung Hua was the person behind the scenes who had read Lung Qing and the others' minds, so she naturally wouldn't let him off. Ah, you mean the Luo family? Lung Shuang was surprised. It was no secret in the vast heaven continent that the Luo family had been annexed by the Su family and a few other families, so she had naturally heard about it.
Yes.
Lung Ruoxue nodded. Little Shuer, not many people know that the Luo family is your servant, right? Lung Qinya asked thoughtfully.
Yes.
Lung Ruoxue nodded. In that case, how could Lung Hua know about this? Although that old fellow isn't too obedient, he rarely leaves the forbidden area all these years. If I don't know about this, there's even less reason for him to know. Lung Qinya's face was filled with questions. There's no such thing as an impenetrable wall in this world. How would Lung Hua know? Why would he attack the Luo family? I'm afraid he can only ask himself, Lung Ruoxue said with a faint smile. To her, it didn't matter how Lung Hua knew or why he went against her. What was important was that he had to pay the price for daring to be her enemy. Little Shuer, I really can't think of a reason for Lung Hua to do this. What can he gain from dealing with your servant? Lung Qinya frowned. I'm afraid he can only ask himself, Lung Ruoxue said lightly. Yes, let's ask him together. Lung Qinya stood up and said, No need, I can find him myself. Lung Ruoxue refused. Lung Qinya was the grand elder of the Long family. Although she didn't recognize the Long family, she had to consider his position. All right then. However, I'm the only one who can bring you in, Lung Qinya said proudly. He knew how stubborn little Shuer was, so he didn't force her. In addition, he had to tell his grandfather about this early so that things wouldn't get out of hand. Not necessarily. I can barge in, Lung Ruoxue said calmly when she saw the smug expression on Lung Qinya's face. Chapter 862. Returning to the Long family, 3. Little Shuer, if you barge in, you will become the public enemy of the Long family. Lung Qinya said with a bitter smile. That makes sense. With such a useful trump card like you, it would be a waste not to use it. Forget it. I can't be bothered to waste time. Just bring us in. Lung Ruoxue's attitude changed very quickly. Little Shuer, has anyone ever said that you're bad? Lung Qinya's eyes sparkled as if he was about to cry. Boo-hoo. He could tell that little Shuer was clearly teasing him. If a woman isn't bad and a man doesn't love her, my man will love my badness, Lung Ruoxue said proudly. Yes, yes. I love it when Shuer plays dirty tricks, the freak quickly agreed. Lung Qinya did not know what to say. He even felt that this freak had embarrassed all their men. However, he did not dare to say this out loud. All right, I won't joke with you anymore. Quickly bring us to the forbidden area. Lung Ruoxue urged. After settling the Long family's matter, she should be able to go to the Dark Night Seas. She would never let anyone who dared to cause trouble for her off. Lung Qinya nodded. Then, he brought Lung Ruoxue and the others to the forbidden area in the back mountain of the Long family. After telling them where Lung Hua lived, he went straight to report this matter to his grandfather. Lung Ruoxue stood at the door of Lung Hua's room and thought to herself. The room in front of her was made of wood. She didn't know if it could withstand the burning of her intrinsic flame. Oh, she could test the temperature of her flame while she was at it. Thinking of this, Lung Ruoxue released a fire attribute mystic energy without hesitation. As soon as the fiery red mystic energy touched the wooden house, it immediately burned. At this moment, Lung Hua was sleeping in his room, completely unaware of the outside world. It was only when the smoke choked his nose that he was woken up. Lung Hua opened his eyes, but there was black smoke lingering in the room, and he couldn't see anything at all. Moreover, his eyes were choking with smoke and tears. Suddenly, there was a loud thunk, and the flaming roof beam fell off, right into his lap. Long cried out in pain and frustration. Damn it! How could his room be on fire? Had no one noticed? Long Hua struggled to get up from the bed and took a healing pill. However, after taking the pill, the injury on his leg showed no signs of improving. This made him even more depressed. With no other choice, Long Hua dragged his injured leg, fumbled, found the door, and broke out. As soon as Long Hua left the room, the house collapsed. Miss, this old thing is quite lucky. He actually didn't die. Feng De looked at Long Hua, who was in a sorry state and still had flames burning on his clothes, and couldn't help but gloat. Damn it! Who are you? Did you set this fire? Long Hua shouted at the sound of the stranger's voice. His eyes were thick with smoke, so he couldn't see very well. He could only judge by the sound, and the man's voice was unfamiliar to him. Long Ruoxue, Long Ruoxue said with a faint smile. In fact, she didn't want to use fire to deal with Long Hua at all. However, she had clearly overestimated this old fellow's awareness of danger. After all, if it were anyone else, they definitely wouldn't be in such a sorry state like him. Long Ruoxue, you killed so many members of the Long family, and you still dare to come back? Long Hua immediately exploded when he heard Long Ruoxue's name. In the Long family now, Long Ruoxue was probably the most famous. The members of the Long family might not know their ancestors, but everyone knew Long Ruoxue's name. Why wouldn't I dare to come back? I'm doing a good deed by getting rid of trash for your Long family. By the way, you haven't even paid me for my labor. Long Ruoxue said with a wicked smile. Long Ruoxue, you still want labor fees? Long Hua was furious. This Long Ruoxue was really more shameless than he knew. Not only was she not hunted down by the Long family after killing a member of the Long family, but she even dared to enter the house and ask for labor fees. She was really too much. Why not? But don't worry, it'll include your share, Long Ruoxue said angrily. What do you mean? Long Hua was shocked and forced himself to be calm. Don't you know what I mean? Then you at least know what you've done, right? Long Ruoxue said with a faint smile. I don't understand what you're talking about. I've been cultivating in the forbidden area. Long Hua pretended to be confused. Long Hua, I thought you were also a big shot. At least you dared to take responsibility. Unfortunately, you're a coward and a coward. A person like you will only waste food and embarrass your ancestors if you live. Why don't you let me send you on your way? Long Ruoxue said with slight disdain. Then, she released a cluster of flames from her fingertips and gently slashed in Long Hua's direction like a meteor. Chapter 863, Duel in the Arena 1. The fiery meteor was extremely fast, but just as it was about to hit Long Hua, it collided with a white light and fell to the ground. Who dares to cause trouble in the Long family? When the two mystic energies collided, a questioning voice sounded at the same time. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Several figures appeared in the void one after another. Long Ruoxue looked at the figure that suddenly appeared in front of them, and a faint smile appeared on her lips. This Long family was really slow. Long Hua, what's wrong? Another surprised voice sounded. Oh, so it's the house on fire. The man muttered to himself, not caring if anyone responded. What are you doing here? Long Hua gritted his teeth when he saw the man appear. His face, which was grayish-black from the smoke, darkened even more. I heard that something happened to you, so I specially came to express my condolences. Hee. The person gloated. There's no need, Long said, suppressing his anger. Don't be like that. We're all of the same race. We're supposed to take care of each other, the man said with a smile. Take care, my ass. She was clearly here to laugh at him. Long Hua couldn't help but curse in his heart, and his expression became even uglier. Little girl, who are you? At this moment, the person turned to Long Ruoxue and asked curiously. I'm Long Ruoxue. Long Ruoxue introduced herself. You're Long Ruoxue. I've heard a lot about you. The person's face was filled with admiration, and countless stars appeared in his eyes. Long Ruoxue, give me an autograph. Suddenly, the person lifted a corner of his shirt and took out a pin. He handed it to Long Ruoxue and said expectantly. Long Ruoxue raised her eyebrows slightly and looked at the kind-looking old man in front of her. She couldn't help but wonder if this old man was really so out of line, or if his reaction was slow. However, according to her guess, the possibility of him doing it on purpose was very high. Don't worship me. I'm just a legend. Long Ruoxue said calmly, looking as arrogant as she could. Hee. I have to worship you. The old man smiled and thought to himself, there aren't many people who dare to kill members of the Long family in the Long family. How can I not worship you? Long Yu. Damn it. She came to kill me, and you actually asked her to give you her autograph. Long Hua saw the man's actions and was so angry that he couldn't help but shout. Long Yu always liked to go against him. It really angered him. Hee. What have you done to deserve this? Long Yu was curious. You? Long Hua's breathing quickened at Long Yu's words. He was clearly furious. Long Hua, calm down. You can't die. Otherwise, you'll feel uneasy. Long Yu quickly comforted her. How dare you kill people in our Long family's forbidden area? At this moment, someone who was closer to Long Hua said. I only kill those who deserve to be killed, Long Ruoxue said calmly, her beautiful eyes turning to the old men protecting Long Hua in the middle. These old men must have a good relationship with Long Hua because one of them had knocked away her mystic energy just now. Among the dozens of old men present, they were the closest to Long Hua. Actually, Long Hua did not have a good relationship with the Long family. However, no matter how unlikable he was, he would still have a few like-minded friends. Therefore, those who were willing to protect him at this time were really the ones who were closest to him in the Long family. As for the others, even if they came, they were just here to watch the show, just like Long Yu. You sure talk big, girl, said another. Hee. Let's talk nicely. Don't bully the younger generation. Long Ruoxue didn't speak, but Long Yu tried to smooth things over. Long Yu, do you have bad eyesight? I'm the one who was bullied. Long Hua was so angry that he was about to vomit blood. It was fine if Long Yu did not help him, but in this situation, he was actually siding with an outsider. It was really outrageous. I'm just afraid that others will say that there are so many of us bullying a little child. Long Yu said aggrievedly, tears still flickering in his eyes. Shut up. The more Long Hua listened, the angrier he became. It was obvious that the other party had more people. You said it. Long Yu was really obedient. He really stopped talking after telling her to shut up. The atmosphere suddenly became oppressive. I came here today to kill Long Hua. Whoever wants to help him is my enemy. Don't waste time and attack together. Seeing that no one was speaking, Long Ruoxue looked around at everyone and said bluntly, After hearing Long Ruoxue's words, everyone present had different thoughts. Some admired her courage, but most of them felt that she was too arrogant. Little girl, they'll teach you a lesson on behalf of your ancestors today, lest you don't know your place. The first person to speak up for Long Hua said angrily, Old man, haven't you heard that the bird that sticks out gets shot? Long Hua isn't even going to attack, but you're going to stand up for him. Long Ruoxue chuckled, hinting that Long Hua was a coward. Long Ruoxue, can't you see that I'm injured? Long Hua couldn't help but defend. As a mystic supremacy, what are those injuries? However, even if someone stands up for you, you're dead today. Long Ruoxue said disdainfully. Miss, leave this old turtle to me. Chengwu said. Okay. Long Ruoxue nodded. Old turtle, die. Chengwu gathered his mystic energy and attacked Long Hua with a light blue mystic technique. Long Hua dodged quickly. However, because he was injured and could not move his legs, he was still hit by Chengwu's mystic technique. Long Hua. The person surrounding Long Hua quickly shielded him and faced Chengwu. However, Chengwu did not continue fighting with him because his opponent was Long Hua. Therefore, he specially found an opportunity to attack Long Hua. Light blue and green mystic techniques were released from his palms continuously. Not long after, Long Hua was injured even more. It was a tragic sight. The few old men who were helping Long Hua were quickly pestered by Feng De and the others. They could not spare any time to help Long Hua. Chapter 864, Duel in the Arena. 2. Long Ruoxue observed the situation on the field. Her beautiful eyes still had to pay attention to those old men from the Long family who were watching the show to prevent them from launching a sneak attack. Little girl, don't stare at us. We're all pacifists. We want attack. Lung Yu, who was uncomfortable under Long Ruoxue's gaze, couldn't help but say, "Boo-hoo." He wanted to keep quiet, but this little girl's gaze made him feel so uncomfortable. "I don't believe you," Long Ruoxue said with a faint smile. She wanted to kill an ancestor-level figure of the Long family. This was a forbidden area of the Long family, so she naturally wouldn't believe these ancient words. After all, she was an outsider to these old men. Lung Yu was depressed. Was he that untrustworthy? Even though this little girl wanted to kill Long Hua, they really didn't dare to attack her. Not to mention whether they could defeat her. If they really attacked this little girl, Lung Qinya would probably be the first to not let them off. Moreover, their relationship with Lung Qinya was much better than with Long Hua. How could they find trouble with themselves? Stop! At this moment, an imposing roar entered everyone's ears. Then, a few more figures appeared in the void. Lung Yu and the others were shocked when they heard this roar. They thought to themselves, the ancestors are here. Lung Hua's life is probably saved. However, Long Ruoxue and the others did not react to this voice. As for Cheng Wu and the others in the battle, they did not take it seriously. In their hearts, unless their miss ordered them to stop, no one else could command them. Damn it! The ancestors told you to stop. Long Hua dodged Cheng Wu's attack in an extremely sorry state and found a gap to shout. Fuck! The ancestors had already asked him to stop, but not only did this barbaric fellow not stop, but he even became more and more enthusiastic. He was really furious. That's your ancestor, not mine, Cheng Wu said disapprovingly, throwing the mystic technique in his hand at Long Hua like water. Suddenly, the wind and clouds changed. A terrifying mystic energy hit Cheng Wu, and Long Hua took the opportunity to launch a sneak attack and knock Cheng Wu to the ground. Everything happened so quickly that Long Ruoxue and the others had no time to react. When Long Ruoxue and the others reacted, Cheng Wu had already fallen to the ground and was injured. Cheng Wu. Long Ruoxue quickly ran to Cheng Wu's side, helped him up, and took out a pill to feed Cheng Wu. Miss him fine. Cheng Wu wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and looked at Long Hua coldly. Ancestor, please help me. Long Hua felt Cheng Wu's gaze, and his heart trembled. He quickly sought protection from the ancestor. Long Shaoqing looked at Long Hua and then at the injured Cheng Wu, feeling a little apologetic. After all, he had only attacked just now to make them stop. He did not want to hurt anyone, but Long Hua had ruined things. Young man, are you all right? Long Shaoqing asked with concern. With my lady here, you want die? Cheng Wu said coldly, his knife-like gaze glaring at Long Hua. Young man, it's not good to be too angry. Long Shaoqing reminded him. She was also a little angry. After all, she felt that she had already lowered herself, but the young man in front of her still had such an attitude. This made her feel a little embarrassed. Who are you? Long Ruoxue narrowed her eyes and asked calmly. However, seeing him standing with that cheap ancestor, she already knew. Little girl, you should call me old ancestor, Long Shaoqing said patiently. For the sake of her younger brother, she knew that she couldn't argue with this girl. However, she couldn't let her kill another member of the Long family. You're Long Hua's ancestor, not mine, Long Ruoxue said lightly. Whoever dared to hurt her was her enemy. Hee. The little girl has a temper. She's even angry with me, Long Shaoqing teased as she glanced at her younger brother. Do you want to stop me from killing Long Hua? Long Ruoxue asked bluntly. Little girl, you've already killed many members of the Long family. You can't kill anymore. We're all family. They'll make the decision now and help you mediate. Okay? Lung Xiaoqing asked kindly. Not good, Lung Hua must die. I won't let go of anyone who helps Lung Hua, Lung Ruoxue said without giving him face. Second brother, this little girl's temper is exactly the same as yours. Tell me what to do now. Lung Xiaoqing kicked the ball into Lung Xiaoyu's hand and said. Lung Xiaoyu looked at the stubborn Lung Ruoxue and then glanced at Lung Hua. He was in a difficult position. He knew that if this matter was not handled well, the only relationship he had with this little girl would be damaged. Sigh. This girl's personality was too strong, and she was protective. This matter would probably not be easy to clean up. However, it was really not worth it to ruin his friendship with this little girl for Lung Hua. Moreover, this matter was caused by Lung Hua in the first place. Even if he was really killed by little Shuer, he deserved it. The biggest problem now was Big Brother's position. Even though Big Brother said that he would not pursue the matter last time, he knew that Big Brother still minded it a little. This time, Big Brother would probably not give in easily regarding Lung Hua's matter. After all, this concerned Big Brother's absolute authority in the Lung family. Big Brother, Lung Hua is your descendant and Lung Ruoxue is mine. We can't judge who's right and who's wrong. Why don't? Lung Xiaoyu said implicitly and only finished half of her sentence. You mean to let third brother decide? Lung Xiaoqing raised her eyebrows slightly. What I mean is, let them decide on the arena. Life and death are up to fate, Lung Xiaoyu said calmly. Second brother, your descendant even killed the Sun family. If you propose to let them decide on the arena, I'm afraid this will be unfair to Lung Hua, right? Lung Xiaoqing said indifferently. Big brother, the rings are all one-on-one. Their strength is about the same. It's very fair, Lung Xiaoyu said, but he couldn't help but feel uneasy. Lung Hua deserved to die in the first place. He had suggested the ring to decide life and death because he wanted to save Big Brother's face. Who knew that Big Brother actually didn't appreciate it? All right, let them decide in the arena. Lung Xiaoqing had no choice but to agree. You're tuning in to the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.